just love it.
Well, we were just having a party here. I mean, inviting people in, and people are just smiling and happy. We're just having a great time. So we started off with Alicia Bales from KZYX, our own sister station, joining us. Blake Moore is here, and of course, Lou and Maynard Linden were here with us, and they just had to leave. And they were the very first supporters of KGUA. And Carolyn Ducato was there then.
I was.
Yes, chief forager, you called yourself.
That's right. That's right. With the original owners of Placewares, Lou and Maynard Linden. If I've learned anything about how to be a good retailer, I owe it all to them. They have over, as you probably know, 40 plus years of experience in retail, and they sure taught me some great lessons. So,
and you know, that's where I met Carolyn and Lou and Maynard. I had just started out in video editing and doing video series on travel in Mendocino County, and they were my first guinea pigs.
That's true. I remember it very well.
It's right, and that's how we met Leanne. And she came through here and did an interview, and months later she came back again, said she'd moved into the area, and I said, hey, why don't you come play with us? And here she is.
3.5 years ago, just about now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Very nice.
Time ago.
I know. Oh, I love those glasses.
Thank you. Well, thank you both for having me today. It's an honor to be here for your Power of the Tower fundraising campaign. And I'm here representing Surf Market, as you know, and the entire team appreciates KGUA so much. I think that you are a tremendous asset in the community. Clearly, we have had our share of crises, and I think that people remember everything that's happened, from fires to pandemics to fires and all sorts of things. And you have been an incredible resource. And in those moments where we need to find out what's going on, how do we take care of ourselves? What are the resources? What's open? What's closed? Etc. You are a powerful resource for our small community. And in addition to that, above and beyond the crises, Surf Market has been so pleased to be a partner of KGUA.
We have so appreciated that partnership.
It's so much fun, and people come up to me still, Peggy, and say how much they enjoy listening to our shows together on Peggy's Place, and how it seems like we have so much fun.
Yeah.
So again, I want to balance this out. In addition to all the hardships that you do incredible reporting on, tenacious reporting, where you spend nights here, and I know all of the stories, there are some really fun, uplifting moments in this studio that I get to participate in, where we talk about the community, we talk about foods, we talk about recipes, we talk about ways to bring people together. And that's always fun and exciting. And I think we've had the ability to share a lot of that. And I think listeners out there, at least from the feedback that I've received, really appreciate hearing those stories about what's going on, whether it be with Surf Market or Jeannie Jackson or any of the other locals that come into the studio.
Through all the statistics I've gone through, Peggy's Place is the most listened to show, because people want to hear what's happening in the community. They want to know about who their neighbors are, and you know, what environmental things are going on,
or what food to eat,
or what food.
and I'm sure people are wondering.
Yeah,
I bet people are wondering now, well, if Carolyn's there, did she bring them anything?
Oh my gosh. Well, I did happen to bring a bag.
And look at that nice bag, fancy bag.
Check the surf on it, get it? When you go and check the surf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're checking the waves, but this might be better had for later, but I did bring you some fresh ribs. No, ribs straight off the barbecue.
Oh, I was gonna.
They are still warm. I'm sure you can smell it.
When I drove in, I saw them starting up the grill outside there at Surf Market. How long is that going to today?
Well, we will be out there until 6 o'clock. We're out there every Friday and Saturday right now. We will be increasing our hours as we get more into summer. But Josh is out there with terrible jokes.
But for a pickle.
We don't have pickles now during COVID. No pickles. So don't ask for pickles. We have ribs, chicken, tri-tip.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that.
Anyways, they're out there. They'll make you smile. And definitely you can enjoy that.
Oh, my God.
I also thought that since you guys have been talking all day,
Oh,
I'd bring
no,
you some
no, wait.
waters. It just seemed like, after you talk,
Thank you.
this one has a tangerine flavor and this has a green tea flavor. I think
Ooh,
this says
cool.
clarity
See.
and that one says tranquility, and you could use some clarity and tranquility, couldn't you?
I can always use tranquility.
And in addition to that, I also have some sweet snacks for you. So you're going to get
Oh my
some
goodness.
brittle
I am
corn.
having trouble with this
Brittle
bag.
corn from Paso Robles. It's made with almonds and popcorn.
Ooh,
So anyway,
that
it's like
looks
a
great.
super fancy Cracker Jack. So
You don't happen to
anyway,
have a napkin or paper
I
towel in
I
there, do
do.
you?
I
Thank
do.
you.
You think I don't come
Thank you.
prepared, Peggy?
Absolutely. Ooh, I can't
Yeah.
wait to jump into these snacks.
It has
Thank you.
almonds, butter, sugar, and popcorn. Oh my
How
goodness.
could you go
Come
wrong?
on. What is not good about that?
Absolutely.
You
See,
know-
that's the thing we love about Carolyn's snacks. I mean, she really understands the important
I
food groups.
started walking through the produce department. I was going to bring you an apple, and I'm just like, an apple? They need some ribs and some popcorn. I did, go sort of pure with the water. So anyway,
Well, thank you, as
But-
always.
yeah, thank you. And I
I do have to, though, follow tradition and taste the treat.
Is there somebody at the door?
Oh, it's Jeannie
it's Jeannie
Jackson. Oh,
Jackson.
my God.
She's up in a few minutes, but what
Okay.
were you going to say first?
I have to taste the crunchy snacks.
You do right now.
I do, because it's
Okay.
tradition.
it's a good idea.
I mean, I don't think we're going to try the ribs.
And I
but-
just like to tell everybody too that we also had Carolyn Ducato on with Sonoma Clean Power to talk about all the news and
Mm.
changes at SURF.
Yes, thank you so much for mentioning that. Again, having KGUA is such a wonderful way to get out important messages that we have at Surf Market. It has been a long process and it required some planning at Surf, but as you might know from our interior signage as well as exterior, Surf Market is now powered by 100% renewable energy.
I think that's
We
amazing.
are bypassing all of the forms of energy that contribute to the climate crisis, and we are relying on solar power by day, geothermal power by night.
and
um,
crunchy things throughout the
That's
day,
right.
too.
That's right. Those can also power you in different ways. But anyway, it's been very exciting, and we appreciated the interview with Kate Kelly to help inform community members of what we're doing. And myself and Steve May have been working our way through a phone list, just trying to educate other local businesses about what it takes to convert to renewable energy through
Very
Sonoma
good.
Clean Power.
Very good.
It's about a 10% increase in cost over what you might be paying, but this is an investment. It would be like if you had a child or something else you really wanted to do, a home improvement, you are putting money towards a renewable resource, which is much better for the environment. So we're really proud of that.
Absolutely. Well, I have to do the traditional.
Crunch.
Oh, yeah.
Would you read that sign, Carolyn, right on the door? Carolyn, would you read that sign?
Oh, yes. No food or drink in the studio. I've been ignoring that for 4 or 5 years now. I just pretend like I've never seen that sign, Jeannie.
Is that how long you've been coming on the show,
I
Carolyn?
think so. I think it's
Yeah.
been quite a while, and
Yeah.
it certainly is fun for me. It's something I look forward to. Peggy and I were separated, but using technology over the time of the pandemic, and it's so wonderful to be back in the studio. And we appreciate KGUA so much, and I hope people who are listening in their cars also know that they can go to kgua.org and click on the Listen Live button, which really makes it simple to turn this on while you're working from your desk or actually anywhere. It's a wonderful service, and that's been a great addition to KGUA.
And you're on
Thank you.
YouTube now as well.
I am
Yeah.
aware of that.
And live on
unfortunately.
YouTube. That I love that crunchy stuff, by the way. And of course, I couldn't help but ham it up because that's what Carolyn and I do with our foods here. And it's been wonderful. I love having Carolyn here. I learned so much. I'm not much of a cook. I just don't like it. But I have learned actually, and also from Leanne quite a bit. But so I get tips and I get tips.
You're
I've forgotten. I'm
visual,
talking my
too.
visual. I'm forgetting my optics. Now she's got to talk to the she's got to talk to the back of my head. So anyway, folks, this is one of the most fun shows we have with Caroline. You all look forward to it. It's about a monthly show, and Carolyn brings foods, gives us recipes. We talk about all kinds of crazy food things, but more than that, a lot of history of foods we learn so much, and then people will, sometimes she leaves me stuff and people will come to the door and say, do you have any of that left?
I know.
And Leanne will come in and say, we have some of that left for lunch,
And I'll be disappointed because most of it's gone.
I don't know who eats it.
I
I
know.
don't know how it disappears.
But I think the thing that we have in common, and with Jeannie here, it's another thing that everybody wants connection, right? So
Right.
KGUA provides connection in the community. Food is a way of connecting to people. Clearly people connect over nature and learning about nature and being outside. So you provide a real conduit for a connection. And coming on here and being able to talk about the importance of food and sharing food, even if it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I think I try to emphasize it doesn't have to be fancy to create a connection. I try to come up with simple solutions for dinner so you can sit down with your family. And I've, as you know, Peggy presented some elevated ideas that might be a little bit more complicated if you want to do something special for a friend. But this is about connection, and KGUA is about connection. It's connection in crisis, it's connection over fun, it's connection over food and nature and music and education. Everything really comes down to KGUA, and the support from the community I know has been very strong, but they could really use your help. So anything you can give, come by, go to the website, look on Facebook. I know that Leanne and Susan and Peggy greatly appreciate any contribution that you can make.
And Thane Frivold, who's our steady everyday scheduler of shows, who does it remotely. We thank him, and Stephen Winningham appreciates it too. He's been a long time volunteer here. And this is what independent community radio is all about.
And
We get the luxury of doing things like this.
we have another volunteer, those of you who love SoundClouds.
Right.
That has been taken off of our hands too, because all of these things are
Jean
like
Berry,
one more
isn't it?
thing. Jean Berry
Yeah.
is
And
doing the SoundClouds,
Yeah.
and other people help us out, our new volunteers. When it was first, it started, as you heard, with me. And then, we now have Leanne, and then that helped us, but we still had a lot of things to do that you hear us talking and you hear that this is what we do, but there are a lot of other things that we have to do throughout the day. And now with Thane taking the programming out of
he
our
takes
hands.
that every
Oh my
day,
gosh.
consistent programming that has to be done every single time.
And the
And he
weekends.
does it. He schedules it for us. And it brings up another thought that I had about this community radio during this past year of the pandemic. It was a challenge for us at the start because we were not coming in. Peggy was, but I wasn't. And I had to learn to do a lot of things remotely, the downloading of the shows and scheduling. And sometimes I'm like, which computer am I on? What operating system am I on? Where did I get that show? What channel? It was a mental hoops that we were all going through, but we did it because we wanted to keep bringing the programming. And we even created a website called KGUA Communities.
Oh, that's
And
right.
in there, we put a lot of time and effort to bring news about the pandemic. I mean, we didn't know much about COVID back then, mask, no mask, how many people today and where is it? So we kept bringing that information out to that website and to let people know what restaurants were open or not open. And that was a challenge. So we got another volunteer, and that was a woman up that used to
Mary
work.
Wald.
And Mary Wald did the website. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And thanks to Robin Reed of Sea
Mhm.
Ranch. And also up in Allison DeGrassi.
Yes.
She helped coordinate a lot of the spreadsheets. And another volunteer I really want to give a shout out to is Mark Gross. Mark Sanford Gross and Peggy have created an amazing show called KGUA Writers. Mark is coming in later today, and we're going to have on a couple of the KGUA writers from the East Coast that are Scott and Tree Mercer's friends. That's the Rothermells. They're going to come on after Mark. So it takes a village, a team to keep this station going.
And one thing I wanted to mention, if I could just interrupt, Leanne,
Yeah.
one thing I was just, I didn't keep an actual account, but I think you must have said volunteer over 10 times.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that's a really good point, because for anybody who's listening, there are a lot of volunteers that make KGUA run.
That's right.
However, there are real costs to running a radio station that have accumulated and gotten more challenging as the years go on. So God bless the volunteers. But I think your listeners need to remember that the costs of running a radio station are real, and there's a lot of equipment in here. If you haven't been into KGUA, you will see microphones and computers and soundboards, and I'm sure all sorts of technology that I don't even know the proper names for, but there are real costs. And to support KGUA, you are supporting something that is center to this community. And just keep that in mind as you're listening out there. Maybe it's $1, maybe it's $5, maybe it's a little bit more. If you can, power the tower. And
that's the other thing we were talking about earlier, is there is an actual tower,
Right.
105 feet, did you say, Peggy?
Mhm.
And they built it. Peggy and Susan got a grant. They put that money back into the community and built an enormous tower with all the equipment that goes with that, a building that needs to be cooled all the time. And I have no idea of all the equipment in there either.
All
Power the
of that-
tower.
Yeah, literally, because the 2,800 watts is a lot of heat that
Right.
comes off of there. And, we did this, we were lucky enough to do it with a grant. And with that grant, we put about $160,000 right back into this community, hiring construction workers, electricians, people who dug that deep hole that it's in.
Poured
we-
that concrete.
all of those things we put right back here as much as we could. We did local, when we didn't, county, state, and then some things had to come from far away. We had to airlift in our transmitter from Nova Scotia. And a transmitter is
I forgot that.
bigger than a refrigerator and weighs probably much more. And they bring it in, and that's what keeps the station going.
And it really literally takes about 4,000 somewhere in there every month to keep this place operational, which is why we're going for the 40,000 to keep it running throughout the end of the year and into next year.
Yeah,
So-
and we appreciate, we have been doing so well. In the break that we just had, I noticed that we had around $200 donations on PayPal. And
Excellent.
then we had another.
We've had 1,500
1,500
walk
came in
in
through the
today,
door.
and
You
that
can-
is matching both George Callis of the White
Mhm.
Barn, who's coming in with his $1,000 matching donation today, along with Paula and Steve Smith, who are also doing $1,000
wonderful.
donation.
Well, I know we're
matching.
running out of time for my slot, but I
Yes.
just wanted to, again, thank you on behalf of Surf Market for all of your service to this community, helping us out with announcements, whether it be rules about COVID, our hours during an unfortunate fire, or our regular fun events like a barbecue and all the other things that you've helped us promote, as well as talking about food. We're incredibly grateful. Surf Market also turned 65 years old this year. Surf Market was founded in
Wow.
1956, so we're going to have all sorts of fun celebrations, and hopefully we can share some of those with you on KGUA. So thank you, Peggy and Leanne, for having me. Thank you for being here, and it's a pleasure to be part of KGUA.
And thank you, and Steve, for the support that you give us every year. You're a major supporter. It means a lot to us, and we thank you so much for that. We have a fun, but also it's always about the community for both Surf and for KGUA, and so many of the people that are coming in throughout today that Leanne has signed up to come in and show their support, because without the community, we wouldn't be here. We are here for you, and we really mean that. I have come from community radio for 50 years now, and that has never, ever left my soul. This is all about you, what we can do for you, not only just to entertain you, but to give you the information that you need when we do have times of crises. And today from Carolyn, we found out this most important information. There's no pickles. No pickles right now at the barbecue. I know it. Jeannie's over there saying, what?
But
I'm sorry, but it's just a COVID thing. We can't do sandwiches either. It just slows. It's not new, Peggy. We've been open for a couple months here and we weren't able to do them last year. It's just too many people. They're gathering. We don't have a way to space them out right now. Hopefully we can get back to it. We still have the delicious ribs. I'm leaving you for your lunch, which I
Thank
hope
you
you
for the-
enjoy.
you have filled the studio with the
I
smell
know.
of barbecue.
You can thank Josh for that.
Josh,
Absolutely,
thank
Josh.
you so
But thank you for
much.
having me. I do need to get back to surf
Yes.
and I know Jeannie's here,
Yep.
so I will be on my way. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything. And again, come down to Kgua, go to
Yes.
Facebook, go to the website, and give what you can. This is an important community service and we are grateful for both of you.
Thank you, Carolyn. the
Thank you,
taco
Carolyn. Have a
of
great
Surf
day.
Market. Have a good one. And up next, we've got Jeannie Jackson of Minnedamma Sightings. We are just going to keep on trucking here at KGUA in Malala, 88.3 FM. We are also on the stream at kgua.org. Our Air Pocket app was a creation by both Radio Rethink and Spinatron. And we worked hard this last year to make this app come about. So go to our website and click on that listen live link and you'll be able to hear us. And you can watch us on
Thank
YouTube
you.
today. And again, now joining us is Jeannie Jackson of Minnedamma Sightings. Good morning, Jeannie.
Good morning. Am I close enough to the microphone?
You are. I can hear you just
Oh,
fine.
great. Good morning, Peggy. Happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
10
thank
years,
you.
10 years.
10 years here. And one of our other volunteers, I want to remember Roberta Chan, another
Yes.
person who certainly helped us with the KGUA communities. No, I can hang on to that.
Oh, I
I'm gonna
thought you were
keep
handing it
checking.
to me.
Well,
Okay.
only if you want it.
Roberta Chan, though, has been such a great help with the spreadsheets and keeping information straight. When we had that power outage, the first one, the PSPS, thanks to Roberta, she was giving us lots of information consolidated that we could talk about on air.
How are you?
And, you know, like the
get
gas stations and where people could power their phones and where to even get food, you know, because that was a challenge during that time because there was no power. So which restaurants had power on, and there were fires over the hill in Healdsburg. So we wanted to give updates on that as well.
Wow. Lots
So,
going on, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
so thank you for joining us. And I think that she's just fine.
No, I think
I'm going to call you two the odd couple.
Well, that might not be the first time. I'm not sure.
We
Jeannie-
enjoy being on together.
That's great.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you know, making this little tiny station, this studio work today with all of the people coming in and out. We're going to have live music later today.
Yes, we are.
It's so much fun. But Jeannie, oh, I love your
I wore this
Tibetan
for
thing or
you.
something.
Rick-
It's
Rick-
beautiful.
Rick gave this to me many years ago, and it's
Aw.
rather heavy, and so I wear it with a sweater. So
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
so it's
Another
good to-
purple sweater.
good to see you in the station.
Yes.
It's the first
you
time
too.
since we shut down with COVID.
Oh, that is true.
Yep.
Welcome back to the studio.
Thank you, because I did the show
Yeah.
with Peggy yesterday via
On
Zoom.
Yes,
But-
I helped.
That's right,
The
you helped.
background.
Right. So I was wondering, when did you start Peggy's Place? Do you remember?
Good question.
I can tell you a date that I came on Peggy's Place, and I have in my iPad,
Okay.
and that's March 14th, 2012.
2012.
Right.
So I must have started it right away. I don't know what I did with Peggy's Place in the early days, but I know I created it when we started the station because I wanted to have a place to play.
Sure.
You know,
Your sandbox.
I've been in, yeah, I
Mhm.
did. You know, I've been in radio all these years, and mainly as a documentarian, but of course on air work too. Program directors at 3 different stations, but I wanted to get back to my roots, which was talking with people,
Mhm.
live people. And so I created Peggy's Place for that reason. But then we had to start filling the calendar. And I started just grabbing, literally, you know, seeing
Susan
people,
helped you
grabbing,
too.
yeah,
Susan found me as a guest on your show too,
right.
a long time ago,
It-
5 years ago.
Yeah, I used to just, you know, I just started looking for interesting people, and well, I mean, everybody's interesting. It just was local people,
Mhm.
and I think in the first 5, 6 years, I've interviewed about, I don't know, let's just say 1,100 people.
Mhm.
You know, could have been an electrician, it could have been a artist painter or a house painter, could have been a Jeannie Jackson,
An organization,
organizations, healthcare,
filmmakers, directors, producers. I mean, it takes a lot
and
to have a guest on. You need to know about them, their backgrounds, and to be able to be a deep listener like you are. That's one thing I've learned from you, is listening to the guests that you've got on.
yeah, because that's where you hear the good stuff, and you have to watch people. I mean, you become as a journalist, and the thing with being a radio producer, it's you and a microphone, and you're always, when you're an independent journalist, you're running around the country and going right into people's homes.
Mhm.
So it's you and a microphone. It's not like a television person who has a cameraman and a sound person and some
Someone to do your
director.
hair.
Yeah. No,
Makeup.
none of that. It's just
Right.
you. So you kind of learn the skills of kind of taking over right away, but making people feel comfortable, and they have to trust you. So I mean, it's just that's part of it. But the thing, I forget where I was going with talking to people here. It's community.
Mhm.
It's about community, and I wanted to share community with people. I think I used to say Peggy's Place was where we all get to know each other, you know, and we continue that. And then we kind of progressed into making sure we had regulars like Jeannie once a month, and Scott and Tree Mercer, and Eric Wilder.
Who's coming up next?
And
too?
then Herb Cole has become another one of those people.
And
so
the Mendocino County Health Department has
Yep.
been a regular.
Yep.
And
our CMS.
our CMS, our Chakrabarti coming on with Barb Britell. Is it Britell or Britell? Britell. Anyway, we help bring the community together through these voices like Jeannie Jackson, who herself is like the center of all these people feeding her information about what's being seen along the coast.
Well, she's, you know, Mother Nature is what.
So
Yes.
I've been dubbed Miss KIA, Miss Know-It-All. Carolyn Andre was the one who dubbed me with that.
I
Yeah.
know it all. Carolyn Andre. Where is that Carolyn Andre? She
Oh,
should come in today too.
She should. She's
Yeah,
great.
Carolyn, come on in.
Yeah. Well, Jeannie, you worked here just yesterday, and
I
you know, we
was.
never finished. So you have
I know.
anything to share?
I know. Well, I just thought it was interesting to look back on our talks over the years and how they've evolved, because
Wow.
my column, I've been doing my column for about 15, 16 years. So let's say I've been doing Peggy's Place for a good 9+ years. And
Almost the full time that's been on the air.
and it has been
Yeah.
live in the studio. Just during COVID, did we do Zoom? And I think what I really enjoy about you, Peggy, is that you're interested in everything. You're interested in the pack rat nest we talked about yesterday. And
Did you see it?
I didn't. I was so focused on getting here in time, and I was early. I hope you noticed
I
that.
did notice that.
So I do appreciate that. And because with my column, I'm interested in everything, whether it's, I got this picture of some kind of insect, and the wings on it are like a stained glass window.
Yes,
It's
yes.
Mother Nature's stained glass window.
Wow.
And it's so fun to see what people are out there seeing. And I was lucky that I started my column when cell phones came into being, and people could, send me a picture with their sighting. I don't always get a picture.
Mhm.
You get pictures a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just been real fun, and it's fun to come in here and talk for an hour and share all the things that happened during the month. And I was looking at what I had, my notes for our first talk, and I was telling you about the gray whales, about green flashes, and you hadn't seen one at that point, remember?
Right.
You
right.
doubted me, and you doubted
I
me.
doubted
Yeah,
you.
you did.
How could I doubt you?
You're like, well, let's not go there. I was talking about river otters and how the River Otter Ecology Project wanted people to report their sightings. I wonder if that's still the case. And we talked about praying mantises, and I told you that the female eats the male that mated with her, and you thought that was a little much, but you bought it. And that the Stornetta Lands waterfall had broken. Remember when the waterfall went inside the bluff?
Oh my goodness.
So that was 9 years ago, March
Jeez.
of
Isn't
2012.
that amazing?
And another sighting that I have on my notes here is low tide at Stornetta Lands. A huge sunflower sea star was seen. And we're very much afraid that they have been made extinct.
No.
Yeah, we haven't had any sightings of them. I had a conversation with a woman who works, scientist who works at NOAA, and she says we really are afraid that they are extinct, that they could not stand the imbalance in the nature, in the ocean that happened in the intertidal zone, the warming and the sea star disease.
I wonder today with the winds and all, literally the ocean is just about as cold as it's ever been here. It's 48 degrees. So I wonder if, you know, with those fluctuations, if perhaps some of these animals may come back in some places, but 48 degrees is really cold.
That
It's usually
is.
around 59, I think.
Wow,
For
this
the
time of year.
ocean?
Okay, I don't keep track of I know people who dive and fishermen and women do, but that's interesting. It's been too warm in the ocean, in the intertidal zone, so maybe this will be a nice healing for the ocean.
Could be. Well, that's so interesting. You have all of your notes.
Well, I know, because it's just great that it's on this old iPad. And so I'm looking at May of 2012. So that was just be a few months later, but the same month we are in right now. And Pam Alvarez spotted a coyote at her home in Point Arena 9 years ago.
Wow.
Mel Smith found a bottle with a note on Manchester Beach.
No.
Yes. And it turned out
A
it was
message in a bottle.
it was a research project by students at the College of the Redwoods. So it had been released December 12th in Fort Bragg, and it drifted at least 30 nautical miles. And the other bottles that were released at the same time were recovered off of Oregon and Washington. So with the wind conditions, so Mel had the anomaly of having the bottle come south. So that was kind of fun.
Fun. Mel's always finding fun stuff.
He gets out there and looks, and this is important to do. 9 years ago, we had 2 sable antelopes that were born at the B. Byron Preserve.
Oh.
And if your listeners enjoy hearing about this, they should donate to the cause here today. Is Power the Tower, right?
Right.
Power
Power
the
the
Tower.
Tower.
In
Where
fact,
is
Judy
that?
Bryan Mello is one of the donors that we have here on our Facebook page. And I encourage everybody to go to our KGUA Facebook page or the website, kgua.org, and click the donate tab. And one of our volunteers, Thane Frivold, and his wife, Maurice, they have just donated. And those are more matching funds. And we have already had the 1,000 Night had up for matching on Facebook matched. And also now we have both Paula Smith and Steve Smith and George Callis's matching
Why don't you
funds.
explain what matching funds means?
Right. It means that you put the money up and it's there, and if it's matched, then it's doubled. But if it's not matched, that money goes away. So it's important to be able to say, okay, this person's willing to do this if other people will step up and help support our station as
So
well.
strike a match for KGUA.
I love it. Strike a match for KGUA. We love that. You know, we're coming up with so many things. What Maynard was keeps.
Oh yeah,
Oh gee, he just told me.
KGUA for keep
Good.
Will
Something going.
Maynard, you've got to come back on and tell us that again.
And he had 2 of them. You know.
Keep good, unbelievable artists going.
Or keep.
I'm sharp today.
You are sharp.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't get unique animals in there.
Oh, well,
Unique
take what you
ans-
can get.
Unique answers or
Analysis.
Yes.
Keeps good something analysis, or I don't remember. But anyway, that is what we do here at KGUA, and we are fundraising today all day long.
This is Power the Tower.
We're trying to raise a lot of money, and we already have raised quite a bit of money. We thank all of you who have donated, because it is serious. We had to come out of our shell. It's hard to ask for money. We had to tell you the
I
truth.
had to push them.
She did. She really did.
I said, people need to know that this is this serious. We've only got a couple of months operating capital. That's not good enough. So now we are getting people to step up, and they're helping us keep this station on air throughout the end of the year. We've got a goal of $40,000. We're more than halfway there right now.
Yay, good.
So-
And it's only been a week that we've been
Right,
asking
right.
for money, and many of you have stepped up, and it
Thank
doesn't
you,
matter the
thank
amount.
you.
No amount is too small, and we've had several generous donations that are helping us, like our people who with matching funds.
And also a car donation from Drew McCallie. Thank you very much,
Wow.
Drew. And some of the people here on Facebook, Fundraiser, we've got Tempera Board, Robin Coda Can, Lorraine Matheson, Deborah Slaughter Sholey,
Nice.
just to name a few right now. We're going to keep naming them throughout the day.
Keep
Just-
it coming.
Yeah,
We
just
want to
keep
read
it-
your name.
Thank you, thank you.
And it's so much fun. Jeannie coming in, we had it yesterday, of course, was Jeannie's always the third Thursday of the month. And then going back in time and looking at
Right.
how wonderful for
I
you,
mean,
to keep it, well, that's,
I
a
just thought of it
journalist stream
this-
these notes to be able to look
Yeah,
back.
I just thought of it this morning. I thought, is the original interview on here? And I think it is. I think it is this March
Wow.
of 2012. I was talking about Al, the lace and albatross,
Right.
and that the previous year he had left on March 28th, and he was still here when we were talking.
And he hasn't been back in a couple of years.
He
huh?
hasn't for more than a couple of years. He's
Aw.
gone, but he or she, we never found out. We never got a feather to test the DNA to find out if it was a male or female. But this beautiful bird that would come to Point Arena and overwinter, the supposition is that it was a young bird. And once it got mature enough, then it was going to find a mate. And they don't mate here. And he was certainly unique in coming close to shore. And birders came from all around the United States and even the world to see him or her, because you didn't have to get in a boat.
Yeah.
So he was a little celebrity in Point Arena.
This is what I love about Jeannie, because when I moved to this area, I didn't know much about it, but I could just listen to you guys talk and learn so much about this place I now live in.
That's
I mean,
great.
it's interesting.
That's
things.
right. And we try, Jeannie also likes to give newcomers tips, because we've had an influx of new people.
Oh, we have a lot of new people.
And so for them to understand what it means to be living here with nature, not only the ocean, but we do have other critters that are roaming around. And like my poor displaced wood rat, that doesn't make any sense to me, but obviously the woods across from Kgua and between us and RCMS have recently been cut down.
And Eric Wilder
Oh my
is
God,
coming
there's
in
a
now.
troublemaker just walked in the door. Call for
Oh,
help.
Drew is
Call for
here.
help.
Oh, it's Drew
This
Fagan.
is
Hi,
Drew
Mr.
Fagan. Drew
Hi,
Fagan
Drew.
does our website.
Hello there.
I didn't
And our-
really mean all
our
of that I just said.
Ads
Did
on
you come to make a
KQ.
donation?
I've already made a donation.
How
He
about a second?
donates.
A second one.
Yeah.
Peggy won't let me give any more money.
Keep it coming.
Hey, get a mic over here. I think it's open.
Drew is, as you all know, the cartoonist that we see
The
each
famous
week.
cartoonist.
He's part of Redwood Coast Democrats. He's an actor. He does so many
Curmudgeon.
things, curmudgeon, and he does donate a lot of time and some money to the station. And I did say to him, stop donating, because he does so much work for us. So maybe I should never say stop giving money, but I just
That is
don't
your
seem to
new-
be in the point. I
That
don't
is your
get
new
it.
vows. Don't ever do that again.
No,
I'm
no,
just
never say stop giving money. No, and out there, all of you who are listening right now, start giving money. We got to keep this station alive and going.
Well,
It's an asset of great value to this community.
Is this interesting that Jeannie comes in with 10 years ago or 9 years ago,
Yeah.
the things that we were seeing?
We were talking about chittens. They're mollusks of the sea. And one of them in particular, the gumboot chitin. And I was
Not a
telling,
chitin?
it's a chitin, you're right. It's a chitin. Thank you. See, you're always correcting me, but that's good because I make all kinds of mistakes. I was telling you, it has no enemies and can live for 40 years. And it tastes so fishy and so rubbery that one would have to be starving to eat it. So they really don't have any enemies because they taste so bad. And they
Wow.
eat algae, sea lettuce, and giant kelp. See what you learned from me the
See,
first
this
time?
is what
eat
I'm
the
talking
kelp.
about.
That's-
But they
that's-
eat the kelp.
But
We don't want
normally
them
the
to eat
kelp
the
does feed a lot of things,
Yeah,
a lot of creatures
that's
in the
true.
sea. We just don't want the sea urchins to eat it all.
Mhm.
And thankfully, the kelp seems to be coming back, which is great.
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? It is starting to come back. And Peggy was saying a little earlier, the ocean temperature is 48 degrees.
KGUA, the
Today.
media.
So
I only
that's
know that
nice and cold.
because the guy on
Who is it?
KTVU told us.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Right.
the weather guy.
Okay, we're on air right now, and thank you very much for calling.
Wow, we have somebody listening to us. How
Oh,
wonderful.
I am, yes.
I had a handful of people yesterday after the show, Minnedamma Sightings with you,
Okay.
tell me that they really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
That's
Charlie
very
Ivor was
cool.
one
Thank
of
you,
them. I mean,
Yasmin.
so people are listening.
All
Peggy, they
right,
really
take
are.
care.
They do.
I
Drew,
know.
you can come closer if you want.
That's all right.
Oh, okay, you're
If
right,
If I get any closer, I'll be, sitting on.
You want to
Dean's
sit on?
lap.
I could be Santa.
We are- And we are on YouTube, so wave to our watchers
everybody.
out there. We have listeners now and watchers, so.
We do. People love being able to see radio with pictures, I think radio could bury this television thing, you think?
Well, it's not, as you have told me, it's not really just radio anymore. It's media.
It's
I mean,
media.
It is
This is
media.
public media.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
public
station.
media. This is a way to broaden who you are and what you are, along with the fact that you stream, so you can be listening worldwide. And right now, probably if you're on YouTube, you can be watching.
And we actually have KGUA writers from the Czech Republic, from
Really?
yeah, we do. We've had
That's
occasional
fantastic.
writers from Singapore.
What you need is a Republic check. Lots of money.
Tying
right.
that fundraiser back in. This
There
is
you
Power
go.
of the Tower Marathon Day. We've got people coming in around the clock. This is KGUA in Wallala, 88.3 FM. We have Drew Fagan with us, along with Jeannie Jackson, Peggy Berryhill. I'm Leanne Lindsay. Thank you all so much for joining us today, whether it's on the radio, on the stream, or on YouTube. We appreciate all the support that's been coming in. We've got a $40,000 goal. We are more than halfway there. We've got about 25,000 my last count. So we are just going to keep on trucking. We've got some matching funds out there, and we appreciate any walk-in checks, or you can mail them to P.O. Box 574 Wallala, GUALALA, and that's 95445, or our website at kgua.org. There's a donate link at the very top that Mr. Drew Fagan has created for us. A beautiful website. Thank you, Drew. And
You are entirely welcome.
yes, and so we just appreciate so much all the loving support that is coming out in our community, because Peggy and Susan really did not want to ask for anything. And, I encourage them. The community wants to keep this station on. We don't want to go dark or let it fade away. We want to keep this station alive so that we can bring community information to you, community guests like Jeannie Jackson and Eric Wilder, who's going to be here shortly, and all the other people, Lou and Maynard Linden. And I can't answer that right now unless you want to,
But
Peggy.
we've gotten almost $1,300 in the past few minutes.
Wonderful.
Oh, right. Okay, so I have to take a little moment here in just a second to start doing a tally to see how much we've got. But we're on air at the same time, answering phones, people coming in. This is a fun day to celebrate this station and to thank Peggy and Susan, Peggy Berryhill and Susan Rushmeyer, from the very beginning 10 years ago, to get this station off the ground, to get the tower built, and to put together the quality programming. And Peggy's Place is one of our most listened to shows, whether it's on the Air Pocket app or streaming any app, and also on YouTube. So we appreciate everybody that is donating today to help us keep the lights on and keep us
This is
going through the
KGUA. Can
end
I help
of the year. And you guys, why don't you tell us what the station has meant to you?
Well, what it means to me is it's given me an opportunity to share more broadly the
thank you
nature
so
sightings that people send in every month. So since I'm on once a month, I compile everything that came in after the last time that we talked about, and just to be able to share with Peggy and
Thank you. Did you
to,
do it
to
on
get her
PayPal or-
insights and her response. It's
What's
like
your name?
it's wonderful to have that one-on-one.
Dan?
So she gives me
Yes.
this forum
Okay,
to be
Dan.
able to distribute
Thank
it more
you.
broadly.
We love
The
you.
nature sightings that people send in, and I really appreciate that. So if you appreciate hearing me on Peggy's Place every third Thursday, why don't you pick up a phone and
Thank you so
donate
much.
some
We love
money
you.
to the cause,
Okay.
because we really need
Bye-bye.
KGUA. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to others.
Yes. And Drew?
Great programming, both local, national, even international shows, wonderful music, and an opportunity for me to do a website.
Which we
And did
which
you
we
listen-
task you with
Yes.
all the
No,
time.
it is so rewarding to be able to have a local entity like KGUA that brings into us not just things from other stations, but as you get from like KQED in San Francisco, but to also have the local music broadcasts, the local Peggy's Place, the local interviews, all of those things are of great value. And also during emergencies, I mean, this is an important entity here, an important place where you can go to get information on what is going on, what's happening, what are the updates, et cetera. It's a marvelous thing to have in this community.
With that means so much to us because we work very hard, particularly during those emergencies. And when we were having the fires, there was so much misinformation out there that we really wanted to make sure that you were getting accurate information. Oh my gosh, Eric Wilder is here. By the way, I just want to say the caller didn't want to be identified, but had just given us some money and said, we are doing such a marvelous job. And there's somebody we would all know, but he was just happy to be able to donate, and we thank him so much. And he went to PayPal, and as I said, I can't remember how many $100 or close to 2,000 I think we've made on PayPal just since this morning, Leanne. So that's
Thank you,
another way you can
everybody.
do it. You go to Drew's webpage, kgua.org, and there's a donate button. It will get you there. You can we've had walk-ins here.
We have a PO box.
A PO box. There may be some checks here. We've been
Yeah,
finding checks
yeah.
every day. So if you don't mind,
PayPal will accept up to $10,000.
really, well, that would make it easy. $10,000, we would almost reach our goal.
Almost. And I want to go back to something before we jump to our guests here on Zoom that Drew brought up, and it's the local shows. We have had so much fun working with local producers like Annie Eden of the La La Soul Show, and getting her back on her feet and doing some great soul music on Friday evenings. And then we had the other young woman, Natalie
Aceves, yeah.
Aceves. She did a world dance show that we just loved, and we helped her learn how to produce that show. She had so much fun, but she's now ended that show. But just like I did, I had LA's Rock Garden last year, and I brought it back last night for a special guest appearance on musical chairs, and I'll continue to do that throughout the year. And then we also have the great producers like Ray Edlin, Pig in a Pen, and Jeff Zolotar with the show that follows it, and that is Roots and All. And then, of course, we had Blake Moore on earlier with her poetry show. So I just want to thank all the local producers for all the time you put together in doing this. And Mark Sanford Gross, KGUA Writers, which Peggy was just talking about earlier.
And he will be here later. And so I don't want to give away all the things he's going to talk. Well,
exactly.
They did some fun stuff this week. And
we
Eric?
now have guests with us on Zoom. We have got Eric Wilder graphics, and we also have Mark Hancock, who is coming on later, but he's joining us now. So he's
Hey Mark, hey
from
Eric.
the Point Arena Lighthouse.
Drew Fagan here. Hi guys, how are you?
This is a
I'm leaving.
party.
I'm going to let you guys talk.
well, thank you, Drew, as always.
We've
Great
got to
to see you.
We've got to get you to unmute there, Mark. And Drew, it's great seeing you, and Jeannie Jackson.
You're gonna stay
You want to
around?
stay with us?
Well, I thought you were done with me.
Oh, you can stay. Let's have a party.
You've got Mark and Eric.
Oh, right. You guys
I'm
hang
sure
on.
Eric doesn't want to share the
I
stage.
will
with
talk.
me.
Okay,
Drew,
so
come back, please.
Mark Hancock, hello.
So I'll come back at 12:45.
I'm
Sorry,
not
I
hearing
didn't see
Mark.
it on my calendar.
Why am I not hearing Mark?
I
know
asked him
why,
to
because-
unmute, or
No, it's probably because the microphone's down.
no.
Whoa, that's music is going. All right, folks, we're doing a lot of things
Here,
this
let
morning.
me have
So
this mouse here. and I'm going to do something in the background. I want
Okay,
to
and
stop
then
that.
Eric, can we, no, we can't hear anybody until I can open this mic over here.
Okay, so,
Is the music on?
okay, now open it.
There we go. So now, hey, Eric, and hey, Mark.
Morning.
Good morning. I'll
How
come back at 12:45. I'm sorry, I didn't change it on my calendar.
Okay, admit you might not want to be in the wind when you call back in. But it looks beautiful
Yeah,
out
that's pretty much impossible out here. Yeah, it's
there. Okay, we'll see you later, Mark. Oh, there's the Point Arena Lighthouse fading away. Oh, and there's the wonderful, what's the name of the cat at Point Arena Lighthouse?
okay. I'll
Okay,
Sign off.
and
We'll
Got it.
see you at 12:45, Mark.
I'm not sure how to take it off. of there.
okay, so Eric Wilder, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you guys. Good to see Jeannie. I haven't seen her for a while.
Hi, Eric, it's nice to see you
Hi.
too. I was hoping to come in the studio so I could give you a hug.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't. I'm actually at work right now. So if you hear some radio traffic, that's what's going on.
But you know, look at that gigantic, is that a hummingbird behind you or is
That's
it a hawk?
actually a flipper.
A flicker.
Oh, a
yeah.
flicker.
My
Wow.
art.
Jeannie, have you seen one of those?
Oh, yeah,
Giant one?
Well, not a giant one. No, I have, but I do see flickers a lot. I love them.
Where is your camera icon? See, we're multitasking here. I'm
There you
taking a
go.
picture.
Okay.
Good, there we go.
Using every kind of media we've got here, several phones, YouTube, 2 computers,
And now
at
my
least.
cell phone is full. I'm gonna have to go in and delete the videos.
Oh
that
my
I've
goodness.
shot.
Oh my
Good to
gosh.
All
see
we
right,
love
well,
you
thank you
guys.
guys
Bye,
so
thank you.
much. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We love you guys.
We do. We love seeing Jeannie
Thank
and
you.
Mr.
And
Drew.
look what I scored.
Oh, I
Oh,
know.
you scored one.
It's
Wow.
Carolyn Dakota who came in from Surf Market with goodies, of course. Hi, Eric.
Hi,
All right.
how are you?
Our total attention now. It's just the 3 of us. Nobody's listening.
Right, nobody's watching on
That's
YouTube.
good.
Yeah.
More people showing up and showing support.
Oh, you bet. You bet. And especially Eric, people love
Yep. Power the tower.
Power the Tower. And thank you so much on this fundraising, the first ever major fundraising day we've done like this in our 10 years. We've done fundraising, but not like this. Leanne took over and she's, she has just gotten us on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram, all over the place. She has this whole list of people that are showing up today.
And we
And-
created an app last year with Radio Rethink and Spinatron, and that helps everybody just take us with you wherever you go.
I know, and I was kind of giggling when you were talking to Jeannie and Drew about, I can't remember, you were talking about not being able to handle so many different apps, and I had to laugh, Eric, because she's Miss Tech. Anyway, so
That's
Eric,
18 years in the tech industry.
so tell us about what's going on in your world today, Eric.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm at work today, but I've been pretty busy. I've been doing some Zoom presentations. I just did one for St. Mary's College for their Native American group down there, talking about my tribe and our culture and our history, and then also my art. And then also gave them a perspective from being a tribal chairman too, and our struggles. And then last night I was on a Zoom to honor Marshall McKay. Which I was very
I
honored.
missed that. Oh, darn it. I wanted to be on that Zoom. He was your cousin, right?
Yes, he was my cousin. And for those of you that don't know who he was, he just passed away in January. He helped the Yochitihi tribe expand their land holdings, and he was on their tribal council as their tribal chairman for over a decade. And then he helped them to achieve economic independence through their casino development, which is the Cache Creek Casino Resort. And he's had involvement with the tribe to expand agricultural production, and they develop Sika Hills, which is a brand of olive oil. And then he was also the founding member of the Native Arts Culture Foundation, which supports Indigenous artists and culture. And then he was asked by Arnold Schwarzenegger to serve on the Native American Heritage Commission. He was appointed to the board of the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian. He's the first Indigenous chairman of the board for the Autry Museum of the American West in Los Angeles. And then so many different things he's done. He served as a board member for the UC Davis Foundation and supported the Mondavi Center for the Performing Arts and the C.N. Gorman Museum.
Wow,
and
those are some big shoes.
It was, and then what I talked about was I've known him my whole life. He was actually his grandmother Mabel McKay, who is a renowned basket weaver and traditional doctor, and she passed away in '93, and then she was actually made a sister with my grandmother Essie Parrish through dream, and she would talk about her coming to our tribe, and that they were made sisters through the spirit. So she said when she comes, it's just like she's my blood sister. So you'll all call her auntie, and so she was my Aunt Mabel growing up. And Marshall, her son, was also given a what we call a wayapana, which is a prayer cloth, which was given to all of the men in World War II and continued on through after the war. And that's for our own personal protection and guidance. And we would pray with that, and we would receive, inspiration on whatever we were doing, whether it, like for me in my art, and when I was a tribal leader doing that, and I still use that when I'm going to talk, and words will come, on what I need to say to people. Because usually when I give my talks, I don't really prepare much, and then it'll just come, and it comes like if you're trying to figure out a math problem and the light comes on and you're like, oh yeah, I know the answer. That's what it feels like for me. And that's what it was for Marshall. And so he was basically he also had one of those wayapanas. And so basically that made us spiritual brothers. And oddly enough, even though he was a tribal leader and I was a tribal leader during the same time, when we did meet, we never talked about that. We just were family. And that was my perspective of him. And we were very proud of him and prayed for him all the time. And I was very honored that I was able to say my words with all the other honored guests that were there last night.
Wow, thank you for all of that and sharing the life of Marshall McKay, who left us way too soon.
Yeah.
And I never got to meet Marshall. I always wanted to meet him and just heard about all these amazing accomplishments he had done, not only for his people, but for all people. And so, that it's those kinds of people that you don't hear about, I have to say, other than when we talk with you and here on Peggy's Place.
I really enjoy listening to you and Peggy talk every month. I learned much that I didn't know. You don't.
And that's one of the things I appreciate about KGUA is that my goal when I first moved back to this area from San Rafael was that I wanted to try to bridge that gap that's always been there between the Native community and the the local community of people here in Wallala, Anchor Bay, Point Arena, and being able to present my history, culture, and traditions about my people over the air on KGUA has definitely introduced me to the community, and and I've made a lot of very good friends and connections, and I get come up to all the time, and people appreciate what we talk about about my tribe, and then also I get to talk about my art sometimes, which is a lot of fun, and that's that's all led for me to be the chairman of the board of the Wallala Art Center, which I'm very proud to be holding that position right now.
And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, the art that you see in the background is Eric's art as well. So he's an amazing
I
artist.
love that. image.
Yeah, amazing artist.
Oh,
And
wow.
thank
Oh.
you. Thank you. Actually, you see a lot of natives with that tat on. A lot of people are wearing that design these days. And Eric does he has a background in digital art and animation, all kinds of things.
In the film industry.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's just an amazing person, and we get to talk to Eric once a month on the air, and getting to know him and his family as well, because his sisters are also very talented. So it's just, it's time that we get to know each other. I mean, that was the role that one of the roles that Susan and I envisioned for KGUA, was that we get to know each other as a community. Because
go ahead.
I'm sorry, because I know as a Native person and as a producer, this has been my life, is introducing Native people who we are today, not stuck in the past, and traveling around the nation and getting to introduce communities that often sat side by side but didn't know each other. And you have helped open those doors so much, and of course your wife Karen as well. And so we're very honored that you are a part of KGUA, and thank you for being here today. And
just along the same lines about bringing the community together, we have another guest who has just joined us, and he has created a new show called Crossing Bridges here on KGUA. That's Paul Mundy. And we're going to ask him to come in and join us right now while we are still with Eric. This is Paul Mundy of the Sea Ranch Archives Committee. And also he has been a skier in the past professionally. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Well, hello there.
It's so good to have you here, and thank you for all your work too, and bringing people together from both sides of the bridge, of the Wallala Bridge, because we sometimes, or there's certain people maybe in a certain community that feels that it's isolated, but we all work together. We all depend on each other. And we get our services in Wallala. We live in the Sea Ranch, and we have people from all the way up north in Point Arena. It's a big community, and you've helped bring the voices together.
Yes, and I have to really thank Peggy and Leanne. When I pitched this idea to them, they loved it. We did a couple interviews before, but then once the show took off, we've done 2 shows now, and we did one show with Donald Linden, and I have to say it has been a joy to do, and it is a lot of work. And as I hear you and Peggy talk about the background, it's not just being on air, but there's a lot of time spent interviewing pre-interviews and research and learning about your guests, which to me is a real pleasure and joy.
Well, it's a pleasure to see Paul. I have to tell you, audience, see him so relaxed behind the mic. And and watching Eric grow, Eric is a natural storyteller too, but this format of being inside of a station is not normal and natural, and watching everybody get used to this kind of thing. And
and me too. I learned a lot just from coming into the station. I had been on radio back in the 70s and 80s, but it had been a long time. And to come in here to learn how to work all the equipment, first of all, was a real challenge, but just also to how to be behind the mic again. So Peggy, you've had an influence on a lot of us here in this community.
I kind of feel this is your life or something. What's happening here? But thank you. Well, I've got a lot more to share, and I'm always happy to share it with people. But you guys are you're both on the same side of the bridge, except that Eric and Stuart, well,
Annapolis, right?
Yeah. Stewart's Point is up in
or Stewart's Point.
Yeah, where Kgua is the Rancheria where Eric is from, although he's currently living north at the Bacaya Rancheria. But you grew up here, and your family saw a Sea Ranch come about.
And so Paul, he was coming in the 60s, right?
Yeah, my Auntie Fran and Uncle Frank built a house in 1968 in Sea Ranch, and I started coming here as a young boy, and I said, someday, Mom and Dad, I'm going to live in Sea Ranch, and I'm going to live on the North Coast where I love so much. And I do, and it's fabulous.
He works hard to be here too.
That's right.
And Eric, you've been here since what, your family was here how long?
Well, my family has always been here, but I was away for about maybe 15, 20 years and then moved back in 2010.
Yeah, as Eric says, his family is a more or less a very famous family. Not more or less, is a very famous family with his grandmother and his aunties and everybody. I'm so impressed when I talk with Eric's family, because it's like each one of them has specialized. Not only his aunts and uncles have specialized in different parts of culture, and as Eric's sisters and his family as well have specialized in certain things. Eric's in art and language and weaving, of course, the very famous Puma baskets, which are so unusual. I think you have about 16 different weaving
Yeah.
I don't know, styles or traditions that can be in one basket that's very, very different than other basket weavers. So it's highly
Yeah, my grandmother Essie was she was a really well-known basket maker in the Indian community, and Mabel McKay, who was like world renowned for her baskets. She told me one day, she goes, I'm well known for my baskets, but she said, your grandmother, she goes, I can make certain kind of baskets, but your grandmother could make all kind of baskets. And she could make coil baskets and feather baskets and baby baskets and 1,000-stick baskets. She goes, but people don't know that because, they know her for her doctoring, and they know her for developing a written language and recording our stories down and recording our ceremonies on video. And, so those things were more what she was known for, but she was a very talented basket maker as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so you're still in the business of that. And I also want to let people know in the community that the grill is open again, isn't it today?
It is. It's open today from 2 until 9. And that's except for Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, 2 until 9, except Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sure that people are happy to be going back to the casino and also sharing, getting some food from there.
Yeah.
Popular takeout place.
So right now.
Yeah, still takeout. Which is fine. Great.
Well, that's Eric Wilder Graphics, and I love the Christmas cards that you created this last season. I sent so many of those out to my family and friends. And we've also got Paul Mundy here with us in the studio. Eric has joined us via Zoom, and I'm Leanne Lindsay. This is Peggy Berryhill. You're listening to KGUA in Wallala 88.3 FM. We are streaming around the globe at kgua.org. And today we are going on a marathon all-day Power the Tower fundraiser, because we are going for $40,000 to help us stay on the air, to keep doing community things like this. And we are more than halfway there to our goal. We thank the community so much for stepping up and helping us. Just this past week alone, we have more than halfway reached our goal. Isn't that great, Paul?
Yeah.
And
Great.
I mean, the community really is coming together. And one of the most watched shows and listened to shows is Peggy's Place, because people love hearing about their community. And they love listening to Eric Wilder come on every month and just chat with Peggy about history and what's happening current day. That is information we all need to hear to learn from these things. That's what community radio is.
And
I think through our talks and your talks with everybody else, it brings us all closer together. We get to know each other. And not only that, it's important that we support community radio, and I listen all the time, and especially during times of emergencies, when we had the storms and when the fires were going, and I would listen to find out what was going on in certain areas that where my family was living down at Kashaya, and I'd hear updates from Peggy on the radio, and even sometimes I've called in and let her know some of the road conditions that I'd seen, and so through that community, us working together, we're able to help each other to get from place to place or know what's accessible. And so, that's definitely something that the community at large is very appreciative about. And for me, one of the things that I'm very honored and for me is very proud of, is that is the native owned radio station. And to me, it's like, okay, well, I'm not the only one out here trying to bridge that gap to be a part of the community at whole, because that's always been a struggle for my people and native people all over. And so I'm glad that people are coming out and supporting that and supporting us as a community through the radio station.
And I do want to make a point here. It's something that you just said about being native owned. It is native owned by one individual, Peggy Berryhill, and her partner, Susan Rushmeyer, who created Native Media Resource. It is not tribally owned as some people in the community had thought. So I just want to clarify that for our audience so that they understand. These two have put together a lot of time and effort and depend on the community to come together to help keep this going. There are no grants from the government. There are no grants that go into a tribal organization that then get funneled here. That's not the way that this works. So I just wanted to let people know about that.
I thank you for that, because I think, Eric, you know well of all the misconceptions about Native people, that we get checks from the government every month.
That's
and
right.
that, BIA gives us anything we want, and all of those kinds of the free health care and, all kinds of things that some are almost true, but not the checks from the government. And certainly as a nonprofit organization, we don't get money from tribes, don't get money from the BIA like tribes do, is what I meant to say.
Is that Bureau of Indian Affairs?
I'm sorry, Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Right.
No, we're just a plain old little nonprofit that is run by, that started to bring information about Native people and create cross-cultural understanding, crossing bridges, crossing borders, sharing the music, all of that. That's what we do. And we rely, because part of the biggest project of the Native Media Resource Center is Kgua, is asking for community support. And it's hard to do. Leanne had to drag us out kicking
and screaming, I'm telling you.
We've done fundraisers before, but it is hard to say, we are barely going to make it through the next few months, and we need you to help us make, another month, another 2 months, and Leanne says, no, we're going to go for the rest of the year and beyond.
Yeah, because people say, well, what are your reserves? There are no reserves.
And
that's what we're building now.
We're building that, and also it's partly a result of COVID. This is
right.
This is just what's happened to businesses and nonprofit businesses over the past. It's almost a year and a half, isn't it, with COVID?
Yes,
something like that.
And the sponsors too. They were getting hurt and hit by the pandemic, as were individual donors. Just didn't have the wherewithal. We understand that. And so now we're asking those who possibly can help us to, help support this little tiny station here on the North California coast that really does do so much to bring people together. And NMRC, the Native Media Resource Center, has a really valuable board of directors behind it as well.
Absolutely. And actually, you hear some of those board of directors. Greg McVicker of Undercurrents is on the board. Ironically, today, the day that we chose to do our fundraiser, Teresa Harlan, who I think is our vice president, was on Forum. And I don't know how many of you read The Bohemian, a free newspaper, last week. Front page picture of Teresa and Tiger, whom Eric also knows. Because she is fighting for the legitimacy of her tribe's land over at Point Reyes.
And the elk.
Who are being killed. And she's fighting for their history and their ancestry there. And it's a battle, the traditional Western battle over cattle. And so ironically, we didn't play for him today, but we'll play it for you next
We'll
week.
do a repeat.
You know, she's on our
Definitely.
board, and otherwise she'd probably be on the air with us. And that's the Kathy Chapman is also on the board, a longtime native producer. She's down living with the Dene. She's Apache, and her husband is Dene. That means Navajo. And who
Rick
else is
Tejada Flores,
Rick Tejada Flores? A long,
famous documentary and filmmaker and producer.
absolutely. So these are, and Eric is joined the board. I think he's on
Oh,
some
yeah.
of the boards, but he's around. But these are the kind of people who we brought together because they're all communicators. They're all communicators. They all believe in community and community radio and the importance of education through public media, whether it's radio, films. Now today, of course, we're using YouTube, Instagram, artwork, public art installation like Eric does, along with digital art, all kinds of things. And Eric also puts on the annual Native Arts Expo at Gualala Arts. And do we know yet if that might be happening later this year?
Depending on the status of, things. Yeah, but there is a plan, but, and we have to wait to see what the county regs are going to be as far as the pandemic. But yeah, our plan is to go ahead with it right now. So, and then KGUA has always been a supporter of it too, as well. So,
absolutely, we always have
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
It's a great time bringing California Native artists who are so not known. Mio Marufo and her amazing phone drawings are just the
Yeah.
most amazing artist, but she's also a basket weaver and very knowledgeable. But all kinds of artists, dancers. You brought your sisters Halal, is that what they're
Wow,
called?
yeah, our Hawaiian dance group, yeah.
It's so much fun to interview the interesting people here in our community, the artists,
It is.
I really enjoyed interviewing the two artists that were exhibiting recently at Gualala Arts, Keith Wilson and Arun Patel. Arun, what's his last name? Maybe it was Patel, but
I think
anyway,
it is Patel.
just that they had come together during the pandemic to create something together as artists from different mediums, one from paint, one from photography. And we get to learn and experience this and listen to these guests, just like Paul Munday does with Crossing Bridges. Who the last guest that we had, they were chefs from both sides of the bridge. And one was up in Point Arena, and that was the
David and Elise Hobbs.
Dave and Elise Hobbs of Izakaya Gama, and that's opening at the end of June, they hope, because it's still the pandemic and it messes up distribution lines and all kinds of things, but they're working towards it. And it's a Japanese bar with small plates. And then Rebecca Stewart, who has a huge history in cooking, but it's just interesting to hear these voices, to hear these people talking about their lives.
Well, and when you talk about food, they also, the chefs you're talking about know about cooking with seaweed, and Eric knows a lot about seaweed as well,
Yeah.
and gathering. And you do that how many times a year?
We do it a few times, usually right now, end of it. Actually got to go out and share a lot of it with some elders that haven't been able to go, they're not able to go get it. So my friend George and I from Point Arena, we got to go out and get some, and I was able to share some of it with people.
Leanne's never had you had
Right.
seaweed.
I was wondering how you process it, what you do with it.
When you pick it, then you dry it, and then they cook it in really quickly in oil, and it's really crunchy. It just seconds it takes to cook it, and it's really good. I still have some too, so.
And you just eat it as it is, or some people, crunch it up and use it as a, just add
Well,
it to their food.
I like to eat it with fish.
Yeah, I have bought the packets of the seaweed that are crunchy, that have, it's a tempura taste or a salty taste or spicy taste in the
Well, that's
grocery.
pretty well.
But it's different, I'm sure.
Well, it is different in the way that came from more of an Asian culture, but seaweed is seaweed, and you clean it and you fry it. I mean, you fry anything, it's going to be good. And eat it with your salmon. So
Well,
Those
Peggy-
are some of the things, the bread. So we'll have to have you guys talking about foods
Yeah.
and Tep Top and
Okay.
all
be
the other
great.
breads and all the
Yeah.
other things. Eric, it sounds like we're gonna have to go to the next guest because I
And
think
just
our
a-
All
next,
right. Well, thank you,
That's
Paul.
right.
I'd like to, at some point, talk to you. It's a
Sure, that
pleasure to
would
meet you.
Fantastic, yeah.
Great.
see,
All right.
making friends right here.
There
Eric,
you go.
love you. It's always great to see you. Say hi
Yeah,
to-
good to see you guys.
and congratulations on having the grill doing takeout again.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
All right.
Take care.
Take
Take care. And I
Bye-bye.
wanted Paul just to take a couple of seconds here to say some last words before you leave us.
Yeah.
Or you can stay with us with Marian too.
Having the opportunity to do some PSAs, some commercials was a great start for me. Leanne gave me that opportunity with Peggy. And public radio, community radio is just crucial. And, everyone, we'd love for you to donate. It's fantastic, but donating your time is valuable as well.
That sure is.
That time has a value to it, that it's energy, it's creativity that you bring to the station. And I think if you can't afford to donate large sums, give time. Time is really helpful. And I think it's wonderful. And this community really, with this radio station, if it wasn't for it during last year's fires and other situations. that
Oh, and
happened,
was Highway 1 open
Oh,
or not?
yes,
you know.
and it's crucial to get that information. And here on KGUA, we have the ability to give the community the information that they need. So when things get rough and tough, we know what's going on.
I love the way Paul just said, we have the ability.
Yeah, I
Paul is
love it.
now part of KGUA.
He's
and
part of
I
our team.
absolutely love that.
I love
And
his voice too. We really needed a new voice on the air. And so he's done IDs and PSAs and
Thank you.
pitches and in addition to being host of Crossing Bridges too.
And Crossing Bridges is such a great show. If you haven't listened to it, we have a new one coming up. We haven't set a date yet, but we like to find people of like minds, like skills on both sides of the Walla River and bring them together. And it becomes a wonderful conversation. And the last one we did with the chefs was fantastic. And it sounds like we have another
KGUA,
caller.
this is
That's
Leanne.
great.
On the air, how can I help you?
since we've been talking, we've gotten another wonderful donation.
Oh,
Carolyn
hi,
Andre,
we were
thank
talking
you.
about you earlier.
And the people just keep giving on PayPal. It's so wonderful.
This is Carolyn Andre.
I see that.
Yeah.
Did she give us 2 donations?
Did you give us 2 donations, Carolyn? Oh,
Anyway, Carolyn Andre.
all right.
who's
Well, we'll call you back later.
done-
How about that when we're off the air? All right. Thank you,
done
Carolyn.
so much for the
Okay.
community and so many other boards, so many organizations. And we thank her and all the other people who are continuing to donate. We will probably find a few minutes in an hour or so to start trying to catch up on our totals here and see how much closer we're getting, because we're doing quite well and we really appreciate that.
And
May-
Peggy and Leanne, I would like to do a continual monthly donation
Oh,
because I think
cool.
that's a great way to keep things
Oh,
going
Thank
year
you.
after year and keep
Yes, thank
these
you.
monthly donations going. They're vital, especially during that month that might be tight. So thank you so much for the
Oh,
opportunity.
thank
and
you.
Thank you for doing this. This is fantastic.
I'm going to take your
Power
photo
the
with
tower.
Where is that sign?
Yeah, where is that sign?
Oh, yeah, here, you can hold that up if you can get us logged back in. And Marian Patterson, we want her to come over here and join us and take a chair while we are trying to get some photos here. This is community
Perfect.
radio, folks,
Got
as
it.
best
Thank
as
you,
it gets.
Paul.
I'm telling you.
Fantastic.
I couldn't get any
I'll
better
let
than
Marian
this.
have the
Marian
chair.
Patterson is here in the
Thank you
house
all.
too.
Oh,
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Come on, Marianne, okay there?
Wow. Look at this.
Wow,
We just, it
folks,
just
this is
gets.
awesome. I think right now while Peggy talks with Marian, good morning,
good
Marian
morning.
Patterson, a famous photographer,
Oh.
and they're going to talk all about that and what KGUA means to her. I'm going to take a moment to go see what we have brought in today, and she has walked in with a check too. Thank you for your donation,
Wow,
Marian.
Marian. Thank
Another
you.
$100. Thank you so much.
Ah.
The community is just Our hearts are exploding with joy and thankfulness.
We love
Absolutely.
you and we support you.
You can
I
get a
have-
little bit
I have
closer.
to move closer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
it's
a
so
little-
good to see you and without a mask too. I just love
I'm
that.
gonna be a little bit rude and push the mic right there. Sorry.
Yes, how about that?
Oh, that's perfect.
That's great. Marian Patterson has been on the show a few times.
Yeah.
You're on SoundCloud at least once or twice. Oh my goodness, here comes another one from Sunset Drive.
Oh, who have we got?
We've got Sharon Minnedamma walking in the
Oh,
door. See?
Sharon.
You never know
My
who's going to
neighbor.
be here. Your neighbor,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon, you can come
you
take a
can come
seat.
and join us if you want. Okay.
Okay,
and,
Sharon's
uh,
gonna hang out in the
For
background.
those of you who are not familiar with Marian Patterson, Marian is one of those icons that you may not have heard about. She is one of the early of the women photographers
Right.
and unsung heroes,
Yeah,
sheroes.
that's
And she lives right here. She still has a dark room, that quaint
Yep.
thing,
Yeah.
working with chemicals.
Well, I
And-
started out in darkroom when I was 16 in Aspen, Colorado, Aspen High School, and Ansel Adams was, one of my, like, I wanted to shoot like that.
Right.
And you have a history with Ansel.
That's right. I fell into an incredible scene back in the late 50s, 60s with these iconic photographers like Dorothea Lange,
Oh, I
Imogen-
remember.
Imogen Cunningham, Minor White, and all the famous people who came through the Adams home. And when I worked in Yosemite, here she is. And now, I swear Ansel died so he could get reincarnated into cell phone
I was gonna-
photography.
He came back as an iPhone.
No, not as an iPhone, as a well, we don't want to use that term user. That sounds pretty bad. But he was so brilliant and such a scientific mind, besides being a great pianist and a writer and blah, 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 blah. But he would have been writing the histograms. He would be designing all these cell phones and so forth. And so
Well, that's-
now, when I was working for him and in that world, I would get under the dark cloth with a view camera. And, if you took one photograph a day and maybe you got 4 good photographs in a year, you were happy.
Wow.
It took time. And now, with my little cell phone, I go bop, bop, bop. And then I put it into a computer and then I can push print. And the film darkroom, I love it dearly. I love the chemicals. There is a quality to film that you just don't get digitally.
That is true.
And so
It took you a while to accept the digital photography world, because when we first met, it's been a while,
Yeah.
that you were still not really happy with the digital cameras and weren't sure. Yes, ma'am.
I have to argue with that
Really?
because I knew Marian when she was in charge of the photography.
You gotta move to that mic.
Okay, I knew Marian when she was in charge of the photography department at Foothill College.
that's how we
And
met.
she was, yes, that's how we met. And Marian was the one who was pushing to
Really?
get to digital in the darkroom and set up
Oh.
classes. I mean, outside the darkroom to do
Right.
digital photography and digital printing, because she acknowledged that was the future wave of where photography was going.
Right.
Now, as a personal artistic, yes, she's definitely analog, but she- yeah.
I don't see, this is breaking news here.
Yeah, breaking news. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Marian's department was really ahead of the time.
Yeah, we were, I think, just when I was ready to retire, digital was coming in. And so at Foothill College in Los Altos, we set up the first digital photography program. And I think film and the film darkroom is still functioning at Foothill College, but digital, I mean, it's painfully easy. And, you know, I know if I cared, I would work with Photoshop. But, you know, to me, I'm old school. When you take the picture, it's complete. With film, when you make
Yes.
the print, it's complete. But digital, you just pop it off. Sorry, Sharon.
That's okay.
But
I
but
do
there's-
print some
yeah.
of her prints for her digitally, by the way.
that's right. I just kind of give you some paper. But it's such a different world, and everything has to be quick now. And I'm when I was teaching workshops, I would say a good photograph takes time. You have to stop and you have to say, what am I trying to say? How can I say it? And before you ever click the little thingy on your cell phone now, you look at all the corners. Now you pop it, you put it in, and you push edit, and you crop it, and you do this and that. And it, you know, time isn't there anymore. We're in an instant era, and it's all about money. And you know,
Well, social media does require fast image processing,
that's
know,
right. But
and there goes a lot of the quality that you're talking about.
There
That's true.
definitely is that difference, as you say. I mean, I think my phone probably has 1,600 photos on it, you know.
is that all?
Yeah, I know, I'm a slacker. Slacker here.
My phone is full because of all the videos
Oh,
and
and the
images I
videos,
take. Yeah,
and it is
videos.
true. I mean, you can get hung up in doing the editing, and if you're somebody like a Ron Bolander who does, you know, massive
Yeah.
editing, or Drew Fagan, you know, that's different, but it's still, I will agree, it's not the same as film and the paper, because film and paper, they're very, very different,
That's
and how
true.
you and how you're looking at something. The cameras today are amazing for their clarity and for what they can do and what you can do quickly.
Yeah.
But that does, I don't know if people still appreciate the kind of work that you and Sharon Minnedamma, who is a wonderful photographer, she's doing a lot of collage work these days with Gualala Arts. But, you know, I know both of your work. And of course, we have an Ansel Adams gallery here right in town. And you go there and it's breathtaking.
Yes.
That's right.
It's different. And when you think about having to make those calculations on the fly,
Right.
you know,
That's
but I
what-
don't think people realize what that meant when you see a scene and you've got X amount of seconds to do the calculations for the exposure and the shutter and all of that.
Or you wait hours for the light to be
Just
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things I remember about Marian, when she was teaching, I first met her through the adult photography classes given by Foothill. And we'd have these summer outdoor sessions,
Right.
and there'd be a critique after each one. But what Marian did that was so special and still applies today for digital was seeing. How to slow down, how to open up your mind and your heart to what's going on around you, and not just clicking at everything in sight, but really getting into the essence of the nature or whatever you're photographing. And those workshops produce some wonderful
Right.
artwork
Oh,
from
gosh,
beginning
yeah.
students. It was just
Yeah.
amazing, the
quality
improvement when people slowed down and really immersed themselves in their surroundings.
You know, Sharon, I was remembering one of those field trips where the I had everybody gathered together, and then they all wanted to run off and take pictures. I said, stop. Pick an area, like 5 square feet that appeals to you, and sit down or lie down and shut your eyes. And shut your eyes and stay there. Don't move, don't wiggle around for 20 minutes. And they go, 20 minutes? How am I going to, wait that long? The pictures will all get away. And the difference when they stop, they smell the breeze. They would take in the situation with all the senses, and it worked.
Yeah.
And they were amazed.
Really worked.
Yeah. And I do that. I don't know, I go out and it's spectacular. I have this thing in my hand, this little thing that I can pop, 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 but I'm not seeing yet. So it stays in my pocket until I have understood what the wind is doing, what I'm
this.
trying to say, and inevitably there's too much in the picture, and then you zero it down and it's too little, and it's getting to that point, which takes minutes and minutes, if not hours, to find out what you really are trying to say. And then it sits, because I'm not a promoter, and I've had my fame. I don't like fortune, and I mean, sure, I'd like some more money. I'd like my prints to sell, but that's not the purpose of my work. It's not about selling or making money. I guess it's just self-development and joy.
I think what you just said is so absolutely important about slowing down. And even if you can pop, you can still slow down
Yes.
before you do that and think about, because it is about the light.
See, this
It's
is good,
always
really good
light.
advice for me too, because I have noticed that I have sped up in my photography and videography, and it's important to do exactly what she just said. And I am going to start practicing that in my own
Promise.
life. I promise you. Right here on air.
Yeah, I mean, I have a question before you leave. Hi, Scott. Could you give us a
Scott
little
Mercer
bit
is
of time?
joining us on
Oh,
Zoom in
from
just a
Maine.
second.
But I want to talking about exactly that. Could you explain the story of your wonderful poster up on?
On Mount Everest,
Yes.
that big high hunk out there. Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon.
So I was on a trek to
Thank you, Sharon.
Mount Everest, and the Chinese said, it's never been photographed by moonlight. You do it. So I set up the tripod with a digital 35mm digital camera, color film, and the first exposure, I was lying, a little bit cold out there, and thinking, if the full moonlight is 1/100th or whatever it was of full sunlight, and this is almost full. I was trying to do all these calculations, and I said, it's not right. And the cable release fell off camera. So then I set up the next one, and it was too long. Somehow I figured that one out. Then I took one more picture, and then of course the moonlight was gone. And we trekked higher up on Everest, and the camera with that film in it fell down into the glacier, and I was able to rescue it, but it jammed that film. And when I got the film back from processing, there was on the roll that I expected to have that image, there was nothing. It's an empty roll. So I thought, oh, well, I tried. And then there was a mystery roll and on it was too dark, too light, and the third image was perfect.
Wow.
Wow.
What
Yeah,
a
that's something.
But
story.
as Minor White used to admonish us, if the picture wants to be taken, it'll do it in spite of yourself.
I believe that. I
And
do
he
believe
just
that.
said,
That's
you know,
true.
Get out of the way.
Yeah.
Let it happen. So
Well, that's Marian Patterson who's joined us today. We thank you so much for all of your knowledge and your history, your experience, everything that you bring to the table when it comes to photography and community. And that's what community radio is, folks.
yes,
We're all about bringing these voices together, hearing their stories like that. And we've got Scott Mercer joining us. You're welcome to stay with us, Marian. We've got Scott Mercer and Tree Mercer from Maine. They have the Minnedamma whale and seal study and talk about being in the moment. These two sit out there and watch the whales and the seals and they study them. And,
time.
That takes time. And I'm going to ask you guys to unmute your mic there so we can hear from you. And this is Kgua in Wallala. We are doing a fundraiser marathon today. We have completely changed our programming up. We are
Thank you, Mary.
having people come in around the clock. Thank you, Marian Patterson.
Bless you for KGUA.
Oh, thank you.
It's all of us.
It is. It
Thank
is all
you,
of us.
Marian.
And we have another guest
And-
coming in.
Oh,
Where'd he go?
why don't you say hello to the Mercers and I'll go check.
And thank you for your kind donation as well.
Yes, thank you for your.
All right. Well, how are our Mercer friends doing this morning or this afternoon?
Oh, we're doing well here. Thank you.
You got your sweatshirt on.
I do. Chilly here in the house.
It's chilly here. We've been dealing with winds that have been crazy winds for several days now. In fact, day before yesterday, it was about, I think it was like 3:40 or something. I'm sitting at home. I didn't have any sounds on or anything. And the dogs were all spooked with the wind. And all of a sudden I heard this boom. And then the house kind of shook. And I thought, did a tree fall? And for those of you who are, our trees here are very big, 60, 160 feet. They're great big trees. So they could sound like that when they fall. So I went out and looked out in the yard. There was nothing. So I thought, well, I don't know what that was. Then I got a phone call at the station and another person called me and from somewhere else. And we think we may have had a small earthquake, but it didn't register at USGS. So who knows what it was. So anyway, yes, this all goes back to your story about the wind, how cold it is there. It's windy here. Anyway, so you guys, thank you so much for joining us on this day of fundraising in which we're doing pretty good. I don't have any current total. Leanne's going to have to take some time, but people are doing what they can to make sure that KGUA stays on the air. And that means you guys get to stay on the air and talk to us about whales. Scott and Tree Mercer. And you were on the air earlier this week and we were talking about those lobster traps, Scott. Tell us the outcome of your story.
Well, we met up with Zach Cliver yesterday up in Portland at a seafood restaurant called Luke's that I would recommend to anyone who's streaming in the local area. It's out on the Portland Pier. And all of their tests were successful. They tested on Wednesday and Thursday over and over again with the gear. And the ropeless lobstering gear was successful every time. So that was great news to all of us. That'll help it when that's used in a more widespread way to end the entanglements of so much marine life and the torture that the animals go through when they are, torture and death that they go through when they are entangled.
Oh, that's sounds like a horrible death. And so to know that this could be successful and we're hoping that the government or someone will help give subsidies to help the fishermen, make this transition because it can't be cheap to have to put electronics in your boat and get new gear, all of that.
Yeah, we learned more about it too. I assumed that one trap would come up and the rest of the trawl would be right behind that, and it does. That's the way it works. One trap at the end of the trawl has the gear on it, and when they push the button and the inflatable inflates, the first trap comes up, and then the rest are hanging there ready to be pulled into the boat as well. So they don't need an inflatable on every trap, and just in one trap, and that brings it up. But it worked perfectly over and over again the last 2 days. So that's and they were working on lobster boats with these guys who were curious, wanted to see how it would work. So they were all very impressed.
Great, great. Well, that's good news for everyone to hear. A lot of times we do talk about, of course, environment, and I guess you guys have heard the news about that glacier that's, I think, as big as Connecticut has broken off. I don't know if it's in the Atlantic or the Pacific, but have you heard about that?
Yes, I saw it this morning. I saw a news item this morning. And another news item that as predicted, with so much cold fresh water pouring into the Atlantic, that the Gulf Stream has slowed down, as was feared. And it's only going to get worse as time goes on. And that moderates our weather and the weather in Europe.
What is that going to mean? Since it's slowed down, will that mean, what does it mean? I'm thinking about hurricane season.
That I'm not sure about, but this moderates weather on 2 continents. It brings up warm water from the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico area. And as more cold water is pouring into the Atlantic from the Greenland ice shelf melting and or ice sheet melting, and now with more and more melting taking place in the Antarctic, this moderates that cold water, warm water. And as you know, there in Northern California, the ocean moderates the temperature where you are right now.
Oh, and the water right now is 48 degrees. Lynn Atkins has joined us. So Lynn, we're talking with Scott and Tree Mercer, a little behind, but hang around and we'll catch up. But that's so I heard that on from the Steve Paulson on Channel 2 News this morning, that the ocean is 48 degrees, and that is very cold for here. I think the average temperature is usually about 59 degrees. So
yeah, we monitor that each day when we're out, every day when we're out observing and counting whales. And we normally get I don't know the year-round averages. We normally get 54, 53 degrees. And when you have the northwest wind blowing the way it has been, it creates a lot of upwelling, which brings the colder waters up from deeper waters, and that cools off the surface temperature and also activates the food chains quite a bit. So that makes the area productive when you don't have stagnant warm water, when you have active upwelling and cold water. So I want you to notice too, the thermal has changed its hat over there behind me, the jackalope.
Oh yes, I see that.
Yeah,
oh,
he has his KGUA hat on today. He took David Letterman off.
Very nice. I didn't even know we had KGUA hats. Did you?
Yeah, we did at one point.
We did at one point, because notice the jackalope now has its KGUA hat on.
Oh, I see that. Oh, my mic.
I'm sorry. So it looks like the Fogliner Guild is
So
here.
the Fogline Musicians Guild is setting up in the back. Scott Foster and Daniel with bass. They're going to be playing at 1 o'clock. So they're getting all ready to go. We've got Lynn Atkins too that just joined us. So we have a celebration for this station going all day long.
It's just this constant rotation here. Now, Scott.
And we had some walk-in money just now. Gentleman brought that in. And
oh, sweet.
Yes, thank you so much. And we've had other walk-ins too. We had another $1,000 donation from Sharon Minnedamma.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe it? And Paul Mundy is doing $100 a month, monthly donation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Thank you, Paul Mundy. So
really, you're going to have to take some time off here and try and sort of figure out where we're at. I have no idea.
Well, I thought it was up about 25,000, but it's actually about 23,000 currently. But we're on our way to that $40,000 goal to keep this station on the air through the end of the year. because it takes about $4,000 a month to keep this station operational.
You know, with the amount of phone ringing I've heard going on, you need a bank of operators behind you there.
No,
For our
like,
one
I'm on
phone.
air.
It's not like it when you look at KQD and you've got all these people answering phones. We have one phone.
Right here, and 2 people to answer it.
But you have loyal followers.
Yes, we do, Lynn. Yes, we do. It's just, I don't know, I'm just kind of overwhelmed by everything, the kindness and the love. The food is coming in, all kinds of things are happening here.
Yeah, why don't you tell us, Lynn, what matters to you about KGUA? What over the years has it meant to you?
KGUA has really helped me realize some of my passions, with it be politics at the Democratic Party or theater, local community theater, either directing or acting. Peggy has been there each time to talk about what it is we're doing. And it's so important to those of us that are able to share what it is we're working on, but to those of us that are listening to the whale count. What is happening around our community and in our waters and in our vineyards and on our river. So Peggy, you and Susan and Leanne have just really made yourself a community treasure. You're indispensable.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
that's the role of community radio. And Lynn Atkins, as many of you know, she wears many hats. One is with the Redwood Coast Democrats,
Yes.
and reporting to us on what the Democrats are doing throughout the state. But she also, I heard a little wistfulness in her voice. She's missing her theater roots.
Yes. Well, we are in rehearsals right now for
Really?
an audio play. We're doing a radio version of The Importance of Being Earnest.
Oh.
And I have been typecast as the nasty, mean, controlling dowager. So, what can I say? And we are hoping, fingers crossed, because I was cast in a role that I've always wanted to play at the Sea Ranch Thespians. We're doing Other Desert Cities, or we hope to, in September, at the end of September, beginning of October. We started rehearsal a year ago, March, and I've actually been cast in that role for 2 years, still waiting to play it. So this is a role that was played by Stockard Channing, and she won a Tony for it. And so I can't really fill her shoes, but it's a fabulous play, and I play a Republican.
Oh,
Yes, and actually a very good friend of Nancy Reagan's. This is my character, so it's a good, heartfelt play. It really is. And as far as the Democrats are concerned, I'm now the leader of the Democratic Party for Mendocino County, which is a real honor. And I'm on the board of the executive board for the state Democratic Party, which is also a real honor. And I'm learning so much about what's going on in the realm of politics, and I still have so much more to learn. It's pretty fascinating. And they're both drama, right? They're both theaters.
No kidding. There are a lot of drama queens out there in the political.
Absolutely.
Well, we love hearing about your what is going on in politics, from the reality of politics. I mean, aside from just the news headlines and the sound bites and what it means, as you who was, a local citizen and just started getting involved in politics,
Right.
Had one interest to begin with. Well, maybe not one, but there was something specific you were working toward. And now look at where you've gone, and you bring that information to us, so we get some insight into how it really works, and an amazing process that we have here that frankly, we're all concerned a little bit about. Do you guys on the state scene talk about your fears for democracy?
Oh, absolutely. Every day. Every day. I was just in a 5-day state convention. There were 3,300 of us on Zoom.
On Zoom?
Wow.
Can you believe that?
How big are people on the screen?
I know. They had to do it as a webinar. There were too many of us. Actually, they only tried to get all of us together, all of the delegates together for one meeting, but that meeting was 5.5 to 6 hours long. And
Oh my
you know,
God.
it was really it was really an undertaking to make it happen, but they did it. One thing I did want to share, some of the things that our local Democrats and our county Democrats are doing is trying to bring information into the various areas. And the Redwood Coast Democrats are going to be sponsoring another town hall. We're going to have our 2 district supervisors from District 5, Ted Williams and Linda Hopkins. Ted is from Mendocino District 5 and Linda is from Sonoma District 5.
I enjoy listening
And
to
since
both of them.
we are a bi-county community, we thought it would be good to get our 2 supervisors together so they can both talk with us and talk with each other,
Yes,
which is
we like
really
that.
a good thing. So
And they're both
wanted to let you
innovative,
know.
young and innovative, both Ted.
I know
Linda.
she's amazing, and she's the chair of the Board of Supervisors in Sonoma now. So she stepped up to even more responsibility. And
Well,
the
this
other thing that the Mendocino Central Committee is doing throughout our county is we had a mobile headquarters last year. We had a van that was traveling the county that, you know, had stickers and posters and all of that kind of thing for the elections. And unfortunately, the gentleman that did that van has passed away. He was an amazing activist, but we lost him about a month or so ago. So now what we're doing is Ken Fennell from Fort Bragg has a Model A. And he's going to become our new mobile headquarters, and he's going to travel the county with, he can't have the big tables because he can't fit them. It's going to be a card table and a box of stuff and a sign that says, hey, we're Democrats. But the idea before we had a brick and mortar headquarters in Ukiah, and those of us down on the coast, whether it be down on the South Coast and in Wallala or up through Fort Bragg and Mendocino, it's just too far to go. So the headquarters is going to be coming to us.
Thank you for holding that mic right there because it was brushing against your cloth.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
Making a little noise, but no, I really love this community radio because we get to hear about the political landscape there, things that are happening. We had Minnedamma Sightings on. We hear about the animals, the wildlife, the birds, the rats in our area that we get to hear about. Minnedamma whale and seal study from Scott and Tree Mercer here, who bring us every month what's happening out in our oceans. Thank you guys for all the work that you do. And we enjoy having you here. I mean, this is what community radio is about, and we need to keep it going.
KGUA.org is one of the ways you can help support us. Go to KGUA.org and hit that donate button, and we can check it out on PayPal. The donations have been coming in just quickly on there.
And we have the Facebook fundraiser that's still going.
Have you seen that lately?
Yes, it's still at the $36.91.
Okay.
And we're running at about a total of, again, about $23,000 so far towards our $40,000 goal. And we do have checks that'll be coming in the mail at P.O. Box 574, Gualala, California 95445. And we've had a lot of walk-ins today that have been bringing us cash and checks. And we just really appreciate it from everybody, from the bottom of our hearts.
I just have to say, this is when people do things like this and walk through
he
the door.
pulled his billfold out.
That means so much to us. One year we had a young girl who came in with a paper cup and had her piggy bank that she'd
Aw.
emptied into it and gave us her piggy bank. And that meant so much to us.
And you could
you
tell this
know.
gentleman, this meant a lot to him. So
Yeah.
you know it's a big part when someone like that walks into the station and says, we just want to make sure you stay on the air.
And that really helps us out, all of that. So nothing is too small, nothing, of course, is too large. And all of you, I mean, at Scott and Tree, it means so much to us that you called in from Maine the second time this week. Tree hasn't said a word. She's just been smiling and shaking
Hi,
her head.
Tree.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
And, you know, it means so much to us that you're doing that. And Lynn, all the work that you do clearly with politics being as they are now, as we seem to be entering this strange new era, and hopefully things will, well, who knows where the hell they're going to go, but at least they're making a little bit of progress. So
Well,
that's
and Peggy, what you have provided through KGUA is a platform for those of us that are trying to do work, whether it's counting the whales and making it really important and vital to our lives, to be able to share it with the community. You know, our work is only so good as that we can communicate it, and you have become a major channel for communication. You have become really indispensable to this community. So we need to keep you. We need you.
Bottle her up.
well, we, you know,
She's the
we've got-
medium.
well, this is all my whole life has been about journalism and presenting information and understanding as it went on, but I had no idea this would be a whole life of community radio. But it means so much that we do connect that. What Paul Monday was here earlier talking about crossing bridges. Eric Wilder talking about the importance of sharing his community with the larger community, what people don't know.
Native
you know.
American culture, correct.
Yes.
The local communities. Leanne has brought so much to our community with her enthusiasm and putting together what you can't see is this list of people that she has pulled together today. And we have live music coming up in a bit, where Leanne and I have been on the air since 9. We'll probably take a bit of a break pretty soon, but we have many, many more people coming in, and Scott and Tree, I think your friend the Rothamels are going to be on later this afternoon.
Right, and Suze from Walla Arts Center is coming in shortly at about 12:30, and then Mark Hancock from the Point Arena Lighthouse will be back. And then at 1 o'clock, that's when these guys behind us who have been setting up their equipment, the Fog Line Musicians Guild, will be playing for us. I mean, there's local music. Oh, and somebody later on at 4 o'clock that's coming on is a fellow I knew from up in Little River at the Woods community, and his name is Keter Stewart, Stuart, S-T-U-A-R-T, and Keter, K-E-E-T-E-R. Look him up online, keterstewart.com. His music is great. It's cowboy western. He opened for Emmylou Harris and Rye Cooper. He's really a fun cowboy western music style singer songwriter. He's coming on at 4 o'clock.
So what you need to do, Leanne, now is bring in your horse so you can add a little ambiance.
My paint right in the background.
I love that. That would be a great idea. Oh my goodness.
But Scott and Tree, how long are you back out there on the East Coast?
At least till September. I just wanted to mention that we couldn't have done the second annual Ocean Life Symposium without KGUA.
And Leanne. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, hey, it's because of you guys doing the Ocean Life Symposium this last October that we learned how to use Zoom with YouTube. Right. And that launched our YouTube channel, was that Ocean Life Symposium.
Are we on YouTube now?
We're on YouTube now.
Okay, great. So everybody, is paying attention. People are loving that they can see you all talking together here on YouTube as we get this nice little, group right here going on. I'm still trying to fathom 3,000 people on a screen, but the kind of communications we can do today are so important, and that they can be so instant. Ooh, I hear music getting warmed up in there. you
The
know,
base is going.
yeah, but this is so important that we can talk to each other coast to coast, or from street to street here when we need to be able to share information. That for me is what it's always been about. Information when people need it, and good, solid information that we need, not rumors and innuendos, I guess,
Right.
to put it nicely.
Speaking of solid information, Scott and Trey, are you working with the right whale, trying to save the right whale up on the North Coast? And what about the sonic blasting that's been going on there?
Good
Can you
question.
tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I've worked for decades with the North Atlantic right whale.
Yes.
Sonic blasting right now is taking place off the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
And it is forecast to be taking place right along the coast down to Mendocino. And that was a big campaign we had going, I lost track with COVID.
2019.
2019. It started with a public meeting up in Mendocino at the Matheson Auditorium.
Right.
And that was to educate the people. And that's actually how the idea for the Ocean Life Symposiums came along, was to educate the public to issues in the ocean, and get different speakers in, experts in, to talk about different topics. And there was a letter writing campaign that actually hundreds of people wrote into the Navy their concerns and fears about the blasting. And actually, Congressman Huffman has been extremely supportive of this effort.
Yes.
Very, very helpful with us. And his office has contacted me a couple of times, telling us not to hesitate to contact them back about any of these issues that we have. And Congressman Huffman has also been very supportive of alternative fishing methods to the rope gear that we have now. He's been very open to listening to ideas for ropeless gear. So,
Well, he's an amazing man. I represent him in the county of Mendocino. And, he's heading the environmental committee as a sub-chair for oceans, waters, and wildlife. So he's the right person. He's just really an environmental attorney, excellent to work with.
he's very highly thought of here on the East Coast. When I tell people where we live, they say, "Oh, you're so lucky to have Congressman Huffman."
Yes, we are.
Wow. There's that phone again. It's just wonderful to be able to talk with you guys. And that's so interesting, Lynn, that you bring about that connection. I mean, the oceans, and I can say, it sounds so cliche, but as a Native person, that all life is sacred. And it doesn't matter which coast we're on, and whether they're whales, whether they're sea urchins, whether they're cicadas, the trees, all of it is important wherever it is. And which is, I was so alarmed to hear about that big piece of ice that broke off, and can't help but wonder, what does that really mean? And then Scott says, well, this is going to affect the weather on 2 continents. That's amazing when you think about those kinds of things. Leanne, was that something we needed to know?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you never know. This is, by the way, is Leanne's first real on-air fundraiser like this. And
I even created a new LA's Rock Garden for last night to kick it off.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, having been through these at KPFA and KLW and KUNM and doing these things over the years, they're quite challenging, and to try and do them here at a tiny station, I couldn't have done it without Leanne's help and without the help of all the other people behind the scenes.
It's really been a lot different than doing venture capital fundraising, I'll tell you this, but I had done that before in Silicon Valley, but this is community radio. It's a nonprofit. It's a whole different thing. It's about community coming together. And we really want to hear from the voices of our guests too, don't we?
We do. So you guys, you have more time to share with us. Anything else?
The thing is that's what you do. You accept every challenge that comes your way, because you know that it's going to benefit all the members of our community. And I mean, I have such respect and admiration for your willingness to, like Scott mentioned, take on that Ocean Life Symposium. We didn't know where to turn when we couldn't do it in person. And Leanne stepped right up. I can do that. We can do this together. And that attitude is so important. And it's what moves us forward and keeps us connected. So much appreciation for that. And I hope everybody will support KGUA. When I listened to Jeannie Jackson giving her sightings, I think I've earned a degree in environmental studies just from listening to Jeannie.
I love that.
Incredible information. Eric Wilder, everything is so enlightening and it makes me see different perspectives. It just makes me grow as a person. And I so appreciate that.
Now Eric gets the award for the best backdrop today. It's like he had wings growing out of his back.
I know, right?
That flicker bird, I know, and that's one of his many designs. And I wasn't kidding when I said you see a lot of particularly Pomo people around here on the coast and inland that have that tat on their arms, on their legs, on their backs, all over their bodies. That's one of everybody's favorite, is that flicker, because the flickers is, of course, so important to the Pomo.
Mm.
Yeah.
One of the people that I have neglected to speak of is Susan, who is a driving force behind the scene. And
We call her the backbone of the station.
I can imagine that. She's a one strong lady and has, I'm sure, been a fabulous support to Peggy and to the station and to you as well, Leanne. So
Absolutely.
a shout out to her too.
These
Thank
are my
you for that.
sisters.
Thank you for that. I'm just laughing. Many years ago, introduced Susan to one of my friends in media, and she's from the South too, and she just kind of blurted out. She says, "And you put up with her?" I just said so. Susan, she knows what we're talking about. She's listened to us. She's given us advice, sending us texts, sending us messages.
Let your guests talk more.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yes, that's the whole point of today, though, is to have our guests talk about what KGUA means to them, what it has meant to the community. And we love hearing from you, your voices on that topic. For 10 years now, it's been around.
Well, for 10 years, you've grown in our hearts. And so we really, all of us, everybody listening, please sponsor this station. Send in what you can afford. We need to keep KGUA on the air. It's really vital to all of us.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn.
That's Lynn Atkins. And if you are just tuning in, this is KGUA in Wallala, 88.3 FM. We are streaming around the world at kgua.org. We're live on YouTube today. And this is Power the Tower Marathon celebration of our station today. 10 years, and we want to keep it running. We want to keep it operational till the end of the year. Our goal is $40,000. We're about $23,000 currently that I just last totaled, but we don't have somebody in the background who's totaling this up. We're still on the air talking. So we just want to thank everybody out there who has made those donations. Thank you so much. We can tell you really care about this station. You want to make sure we get the bills paid so the lights stay on and the tower keeps operational, because there is an actual tower. And we've been talking about that. I mean, 10 years ago, they built this tower from the ground up, got a grant for it, put that money back into the community. What'd you say, 160,000?
Right back into the community. We got the grant. Those grants don't exist anymore, by the way. I know that the FCC just opened up 2 windows, one to start non-commercial educational stations like this, and for the low power stations. But guess what? There were grants when we started this station that you could get from the Department of Commerce to help build those. You still had to raise a lot of money to help finish that grant. Those don't exist. Those grants also existed to help older stations whose equipment was wearing out. Those grants don't exist anymore either. So it's going to be even harder and harder for community radio to keep going because it takes maintenance. We haven't mentioned our engineer, Brian Henry, who's one of the last broadcast engineers in the Bay Area. And we mean it seriously. He works on almost every AM FM station within the Bay Area
We're very
and Northern
fortunate.
California.
Oh my goodness.
And he flies up here or drives up here when we need him and with his helpers because they know what to do with the tower. They know what to do with the transmitter. They know what to do with all the other stuff that's in there that we don't even know what that stuff does.
Not me.
Some
I know a
and-
lot here
and
at the station, but
some
not
of it is
that.
here at the station as well. But in order to make the station sound good, reach you wherever you are, that all of those things cost money. And just like your house, your lights, all of those things, your electricity, we have to pay for programs, except for the wonderful people who come on Peggy's Place who are local and with Zoom, but those paid programs that you like so much, the science, some of the music programs, the news programs,
Latino USA,
Latino, all of those things cost money.
Democracy Now.
It's kind of like we go to different shopping centers for different types of programming, and we go through there and pick and choose. And having knowing that there's so many other kinds of programs out there that we'd love to share. That's how KGUA came about. Len, you mentioned, it took time, of course, for us to grow on people because people were KQED listeners and thought somehow we were blocking them, but we weren't. Actually, they just happened to be here. But it's by the anomaly of the earth.
The terrain.
The terrain. We love KQED, and they became our biggest supporter. And my friend who was then the manager there, Joanne Wallace, said, "Peggy, don't worry, they're going to learn to love you." And I think we're seeing the fruits of that now,
definitely.
years later. And because of our relationship, or my relationship with public broadcasting, we're able to bring you Forum, which is
Not even KZYX does. I
no.
noticed. That was
So-
interesting. We had on the program director of KZYX to help us kick the day off. And Peggy, I just want to go back to something you were talking about too, and that is grants. There are grants out there, but they are very hard to apply for, to write. We are all volunteers and we have other lives too. So
We do?
it's hard enough to keep the station going as it is, because it takes a lot of our time. But to write grants is a whole other story. And we don't get grants from the government. We don't get it through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. This is a Native run station through Native Media Resource, but it's an individual, it's not a tribe. And that's something I really wanted to make clear again, because a lot of our listeners may not know that.
Yeah, thank you, Leanne. Leanne was so surprised recently when someone said to her, "Well, why don't they just get money from the Bureau of Indian Affairs?"
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. We're just a little nonprofit, and I am a Native person, but I can't
She's
call
an individual.
I can't call my tribe up and say, I can't say, "Hey, chief, can you send me some money?" It doesn't work that way either. So we're just like all other nonprofit organizations and we've all been hit hard because of COVID. All of us have been hit hard, and we're all trying to recover and stay on the air. And in our case, trying to stay on the air. But it's our commitment to community that makes the difference. Our community bringing you in here, bringing your voices in here. We're going to be talking later this afternoon with Mark Gross and talking about KGUA writers and what that has done for this community during COVID. We've got live music coming up in about half an hour.
And we've got Seuss here waiting in the wings
Seuss,
from
come
Wallala
on in.
Arts
I
Center.
didn't see you back
Come
there.
on and sit down, and we can just keep this party rolling.
Props with me.
Well, one thing, Peggy, I'd like to say before I leave, because it looks like the next crew is coming in, is that even during COVID, or maybe I should say especially during COVID, your station was really essential because we really didn't have the opportunity to go out in the community to get the information on our own. You brought it to us. So again,
busy little
you have
bees.
filled a niche not only in our hearts, but in our communication needs. So thank you very much. We need to keep you going.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you, thank
you.
you.
And
Lynn.
I'll say goodbye so Seuss can come on the
Um,
stage.
Oh, and we're gonna power that tower.
Power
Bye.
the tower.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much. And
Bye.
Scott and Tree, you can stick around, or we'll be talking to you later, whatever you want to do.
I just wanted to Peggy remembers how we first met, speaking of community connections. You remember how we first met?
Oh, that's a good one. How?
How? Tell us.
How we ended up on your radio station? So
No.
Mark, who is coming up soon, Mark Hancock, actually through the Lighthouse, we were invited to speak in 2014. You came to cover that. And at the end of me speaking, you gave Tree a business card. I called you the next day, and 6-7 days later, I was on the show Peggy's Place for the first time back in 2014. So there's a community connection from the
There-
Lighthouse to you, to us, back to you.
I
Oh
love
my
it.
God. And you that's another thing. I mean, when it was only me, and I used to go to every Lighthouse lecture and record them and edit them and put them on the air. Finally, over the years, a few things I had to stop doing because I just, I couldn't do everything. And plus I was only leaving myself one day a week when I maybe wasn't doing something.
And
But,
what
You
you
go
on
off
the
with that long stick.
What's that?
Yes, my
Go off
my
with that
mic
long
was
stick, yeah.
oh yes, the mic with the long. And weren't you on the board of Wallala Art Center at one time?
I was the vice president of the board of Wallala
Not
Arts.
only on the board, but on the executive committee. Absolutely, on the executive committee.
Thank you,
We were
Seuss.
honored and proud to have you.
I love being there, but I think Seuss had to twist my arm anyway, because one of the things that I had decided when we came to Gualala after all my years doing other things, that I was not going to be on any boards. No more boards. But Seuss twisted my arm.
Careful what you put out there, because you get exactly what you don't want.
Well, that's right. So you have to be really careful about that.
No,
So
we're happy to have you, and still happy to have you. And I'm honored to be on such a big cast that you have here
I'm
today.
gonna move you
Do I
in
need
a
to be
little bit
very
more.
close here? Okay.
Yeah, let's.
So
we're on-
cautious with all these.
And we're on YouTube as well.
You know,
here.
I've been following you this morning here.
Really?
It's, yeah, you're all over the place. You're on YouTube. I got it on my phone, on my computer, on my little
Cool.
Siri thing, on my Amazon
I
thing at
love it.
home.
Isn't it great?
It's awesome.
It
actually.
is just great that we are
Especially
able
with-
to do that.
With all these wins and
The winds
my
have
goodness.
been
So
amazing.
it's great that you have so many different ways. So if one goes out a little bit, the other one kicks on.
Mm.
What a day here. And you have musicians running around. It's like a little circus here. A
It,
little,
it is. It's a celebration of the
it
station
is
day.
awesome. I was going to try and do this through Zoom, and then I saw everyone coming in, and I thought, I've got my little mask with me and everything. And so I know that most people are all vaccinated.
Yes, fully
I have
vaccinated
to
here.
be honest. This is a little weird.
I know. It's really just getting
little
used
weird.
to being together with people without a mask.
Yep.
It's really unusual.
And we've brought a lot of people in today, maskless.
For the
and
first
that's,
time, our station had nobody coming in for a long time. Even I didn't come in here. I
No,
was
you
doing everything
didn't.
remotely.
You
Right.
didn't. I would come in every day, and then we just chat on the phone or however.
And I'd record stuff at home and upload it via Google Drive and download it remotely. I mean, it was like a juggle.
Boy, you guys are making me feel like I need some time off.
Well, and speaking of which, you've been on since this morning at 9, right? You haven't had a
Yes.
break. Do you need me to give you guys a break so you can step out and seriously, you guys are doing a tremendous job.
You can
today,
talk
so
for
thank
sure.
you.
If you want to take a break and go.
No,
talk-
I'm having too much fun.
I
I mean, how
know.
can especially Seuss is here. Seuss is so much fun to talk with, and we are going to take a break at 1 when the music is on.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
So
definitely.
we're taking a break then, and we'll just let people listen to music.
And
But
we're going to let him talk now.
oh, that's
Oh,
right.
no, that's fine.
The guest needs to talk.
Like I said, this is all very new to me, being around so many people. We've been open at the Art Center for retail sales, but we have very strict protocols over there. Masks for everybody. Mendocino County is still in that zone.
All of
where
California, it
we're
seems
still
like.
we're still supposed to wear those. So as soon as we are allowed to open up without masks, we will.
And you've been across the street at the Dolphin,
the
moved
new
the Dolphin, and I
right? Oh my
haven't even
gosh.
gotten there because of the COVID.
That's a whole nother story. Yeah, we had to do that whole move right in the middle of this whole coming out thing. So yeah, we had to leave right as the pandemic came on. We asked for more time at Nuke. So we actually, Jean and Harmony and Ranger Sue Bechtel, the people that we could get, just a little pod, loaded up the trucks and got out of there within a couple of weeks, right as the whole thing started by April 1st.
That's hard.
And then we moved in right down the street, I think July 1st. So we've been there, opened up with safety protocols. Staff is actually doing about half time. So about half of our volunteers come back. So we're always looking for new volunteers. So now that everyone's feeling more welcome.
Another reason for community radio, so you can get information out there to the public like that.
And you guys are doing a great job. Always have, always will. And it's 10 years already. I can't
10
believe
years,
that. Oh my
absolutely. I
goodness.
know it. I can't believe it either.
Wow.
Although.
Feels like 100 or one, right? All wrapped up the
Thank
same
you.
one.
Depending
So-
on the day.
Oh, and before I forget, because I know you guys are on a time schedule here. I want to
Yeah.
get here right at 12:30.
Yeah.
I know you have someone coming in
12:45.
as well. I do have a check here. And this one is not as big as most, but I think it is filled with love and heart.
That's
and,
what matters.
and the dollar
most.
amount is very appropriate, I think, at least for your station.
I love it.
So I don't know if you've had one of those yet or
No,
not.
this is a first. 8830.
All right.
So I would like to
88.3
challenge everybody, if you can
FM.
afford it, it's not a gazillion dollars, but if you can afford
Hey.
8830, Harmony and Harpo and I can afford that. And my mom sends her love, and we're doing it in honor of the Lizard Lounge.
Oh,
So speaking of
thank you.
anniversaries, we've just had the
Yes.
1-year anniversary of Lizard's passing. And so she's always with our hearts, and she's always here
It
on this
just-
station. And
I just tear up when you say that. And she was so important to get to this
Yeah.
station because
Yeah.
we'll go through that whole
Yeah.
history. but
Everybody
she was
listened to
all-
her rock show.
I'm
every
wearing a shirt in her
Thursday.
honor. I don't know
Yeah.
how close you can see. It's a little dancing bear
Oh.
shirt from the Grateful Dead. All kinds of little dancing bears
I
on
love
there.
it.
So I got
Aw,
that.
so
Anyway,
cool.
so I just want to get that
Thank you.
business and love out of the
Well,
way.
she's the one that inspired me to go back and do a rock show that I had done when I was on an album-oriented rock station in Aspen, Colorado, back in my 70s and 80s,
All
and
right.
I listening to her, I was like, I could still do that. I just have to learn how to do it digitally. I can't spin the albums anymore, but
Mhm.
she encouraged me to figure it out. So
Oh, good.
and I loved playing her music every Thursday night and listening to it.
Fantastic. Well, I do
Yeah.
have her iPod actually. With all of her stations, so her music is still playing on at our house. I have her
Oh,
iPod, and her little iPod
Oh,
station, and
Suze,
yep, I've got her
that's
stereo
great.
at home and stuff like that.
How
So she's still
cool
living
that
on.
is.
And we spread out all of her albums all over the place. I think you guys got some. Chucky got some.
Yeah.
Chucky's niece got some.
I was gonna say, there they are, but they're not there anymore.
They're
And
over
then-
in
So you've
my
got a little bit of
office.
change going on.
And I've got an
there. That's
office
great.
right on the other side. That's where Liz's stuff is.
Ah,
in
that's
my
where it
office,
went.
right?
Yeah.
Well, and it is so important. I don't want to forget to bring up. I know I can talk about the Art Center all month and year long, but what you guys have here is a lot of overhead, and believe me, I know it. It takes about between $1,100 and $1,300 a day to keep the Art Center running.
Whoa.
And so if you guys come up with a number like that, and exactly, it's like, whoa, if you come up with a number like that, we found it very helpful to let people know you know what I mean, to put it into realistic terms.
It's about $4,000 a month, not as much
See,
as
there
the
you
Art
go.
Center. It's
Yep.
$4,000 a month to operate this station. And when I heard there was just a couple of
Yes,
months of
Lord.
operating capital left, and what were they going to do to keep this station on the air? I said, we've got to let the community know. We've got to let the community know that we need their help
Exactly.
because Susan and I and a couple of others were pulling out of our own pockets to help with the station.
What is it?
So
you
talk
had
about
said?
numbers. There it is, $333.33. So 12 is divided by 12. So there you have it. So that's what my little calculator says here. And I brought it down here I'm always one for props. You know.
I love
30
this guy. He's
33
just so
Yeah,
much
so, yeah.
fun.
I missed the first number that's in my printer. But yeah, so it's that's what it sounds like.
If you and whoever's listening out there
That's right.
watching on
A day.
YouTube, if
A
you don't
day.
know
Every
the
day you have to have that much money.
if you don't know the Wallala Art Center, you've got to see this place. It's a beautiful location in the Redwoods, soaring ceilings, and they have done so much for the art community
Oh,
here. There's so many artists.
So I
here.
always forget. I'll give you a quick little dim sum. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a 15,000 square foot visual and performing arts center when we can. It's on 11 acres of land, donated by Wallala Redwoods many moons ago, built by 300 volunteers, We still operate before COVID with 300 volunteers. We're down to about 3, I think, maybe 30. Yeah, 300. So even Art in the Redwoods alone normally takes 300 volunteers. So we're hoping this is our 60th year for Art in the Redwoods. This year, we are going to do Art in the Redwoods.
I love Art in the Redwoods.
It'll be a retail sales environment with background entertainment. So we probably won't be allowed to have the full-on festival. We're not going to try and do that. We'll see what the county says, but we will be open for retail sales like we have been. We opened up the Art Center in about October, and we've been able to keep our galleries going. So we've had monthly exhibits, which is right now a fabulous exhibit, the Walla Salon and Salon de la Refuses.
Oh, I want
So
to
like
see
what,
that.
yeah, so like what you guys do is all this education. This is a prime example of education of what a juried and a judged art show is. So a lot of people don't realize what the difference is, but a juried art show is when you bring in a judge or a juror or a couple of jurors in this case, Ron and April who's done a nice job, and they pick the artwork that decides to go into the show. And so that's a juried art show, what actually gets in. And we sold more art out of our conference room when we did juried art shows, where they would bring all their artwork in, everything that didn't get put in, we put down into our conference room. And so artists would come in with their tail between their legs and they'd be like, oh, I didn't get in, you know, and they're like, oh, that piece is really cool. You know, can I buy that? So we sold more art out of our conference room. So about 7 years ago, I think North Coast Artists Guild put in a proposal for the Salon and Salon de la Refuses. So I think it's the only juried art show in the whole world where we actually show the work that is not juried in. So that's what the Refuses is. So if you're like, well, what is that? Yeah. So in the foyer and along the
I love
stairs,
it explained.
that's the show
Yeah.
that normally people wouldn't see. So and it is a real explanation. Yeah, the band's all setting up and everything.
The band's all sitting
Oh,
up.
I love this. It's like being backstage. I feel right at home here with all the gangs and chords. And,
Yeah. Not seats. I'm just
so
gonna.
do they
you
need this
stand up?
microphone too, Peggy?
I'm
Are
gonna
they
find-
switch
not
it
yet.
over?
So I'm gonna have you, Suze, come in here and talk with me in
Okay,
here,
perfect.
and we're gonna let them have
Uh-oh.
this mic.
I'm on the inner sanctum here.
And
Oh
we've
my
got a
goodness,
few
wow.
minutes here, and you know Scott and Tree Mercer here.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Tree. Nice to
Minnedamma
see
Whale and
you.
Seal Study. They're back in Maine right now,
Oh, fabulous.
and they'll be back in September. What are you guys doing while you're out there, by the way?
A lot of exercising.
Oh, good for you.
We go out for a run in the morning, then we head down to the gym, and then we spend the rest of the day, late morning and afternoon, trying to decide what to do next. We actually had some light rain this morning. We stepped outside and there was some sprinkles. We were horrified, ran back into the house. Didn't know what the stuff was for landing on us.
Well, and you can stream KGUA now too, right? Because you can stream KGUA because you're on everywhere. I mean, that is just awesome. My family in Michigan, when we were there traveling to see mom, we can hear you. I think that's
That's right, and they listen to us as they drive across the country.
the number one thing that I think that you guys have done to be here for not just our community, but our community with the all capital letters, which is really the entire world. You've made it accessible to everyone. So I congratulate you. And
Thank you.
That's something that we all need to, I think, we all need to take this, not getting back to normal, but what's the new next? And to me, the new next is really our community is all capital letters, our, and it's the entire world. And if this COVID thing has brought one thing out there, for me, is that things like bringing Art in the Redwoods online, bringing your radio online, you've been doing it for years, but really noticing and paying attention that we have a worldwide community. I mean, the actual definition of pandemic, right?
Right, and because of the
alone.
pandemic, we wanted to make sure that the Ocean Life Symposium happened this last year. They couldn't hold it in person, so we brought it on our station on air. We coordinated with Scott and Tree and all the speakers around the country, and we went live YouTube for the first time through
love it.
Zoom,
All
and
right.
we learned how to do it that way. So we've grown as a community together during this past year and a half, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And your mic, I think, is on, Peggy.
Am I on now?
Yep.
You can hear me. Okay, so this is mic 4.
Yes.
I just need to know that. But no, I mean, anyway, we're working with the musicians that we labeled this mic. Shame on us. But you know what Seuss is here for, and why everybody is here is because we need your support, and it's just been amazing. And hearing you know, I haven't seen Seuss forever. I mean, it's just wonderful to see Seuss, and even though he's
And
been,
without a mask.
and
I know
without a
about
mask,
that.
and even though he's been across the street for pretty much COVID, and I mean, here at Cypress Village, just across the parking lot, we haven't gotten to see each other
Yeah, that-
because we've all been separated. It seems so weird and
Yeah.
so nice to.
Nice to get out and socialize, you know,
Yeah.
to see each
Finally.
other. And I'd like to reinforce what you said too, is because we are here to raise money for KGUA. And so there's nothing like leading by example. So I challenge everybody out there, 88.3. Let's see how many other 88.3
Yes, as you can see,
donations
this
we
was
can
his check,
raise.
$88.
And
$30.
always one to be creative and try to find some way for something to be memorable. So
That is
88.3 in memory of Lizard. And so I just think you guys are doing great. Keep it up. 10 years. Before you know it, we'll be here in another 10 years. So.
Well, 10 of those
love
at 88.30 is 880 something.
Yeah,
dollars. You know, I mean, that
exactly.
really would add up in
Yep.
honor of
Yeah.
Blizzard. That's fabulous. And oh, we have another guest showing up.
Oh,
here.
hey,
Boy,
yeah.
Leanne, you were just, they were just popping out
See,
of the
time work. Perfect.
everywhere.
This is
It's so great.
fantastic. Hey, Mark, well, I'll let
Joining
you
us,
guys.
everyone, joining us now is Mark Hancock from the Point Arena Lighthouse, along with Scott and Tree Mercer, where they met Peggy Berryhill for the first time back in 2014 and started coming on our show monthly. We've got Seuss from the Wallala Art Center here, who's been really a great champion for our community and for us today. Thank you so
You
much.
are very welcome. Enjoy the show, everybody. Enjoy. Thank you, everybody out there in Radio Land. And I can really say, see you on the radio now for real.
For real.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.
All right, enjoy. Thank you.
Bye.
you,
This is
Sue.
Nice
Kate.
news.
This is
As
Kate.
long as
doing
Mark,
it.
as long as Mark is there with his radio voice and
Yeah,
Tassie
he
and
has a radio voice.
Yeah.
Tassie and mine, I'm gonna get off.
Radio too.
Right. and as I was saying, you're listening to KGUA in Wallala 88.3 FM, and we are streaming through our app that we worked hard on last year, and that is the Air Pocket app by Radio Rethink, as well as Spinatron. And thanks to my friend that I worked with on radio in Aspen, Colorado, Steve Skinner, who works in Winter Park. He's a GM for the public radio station there. And he was the one that got us in touch with Spinatron and Radio Rethink. And that's how we got our Air Pocket app. And that's how you can hear us around the world.
And Paula is
Really
here
not
and she's
observing.
a specific job for her to do.
If Paula could, hi, Paula, this is Paula Smith, Steve Smith. If you could just help watch these guys if they've got questions or if anybody needs water. We've got a big party going here in the studios today. This is really unusual after a year and a half of a pandemic.
Yeah, I didn't, the musicians that are here, there's a lot of musicians here. I had no idea. That's great, though. I mean, we're looking forward to hearing them in a few minutes.
And
So
did you
Mark,
get their mics all set up there for them?
we will. We
Okay,
have to do it after they need these.
right. We've got
mics.
Mark Hancock here. We need to hear
Yeah,
from Mark.
let's hear from Mark.
There we go. Bye, Mark.
Bye.
Bye,
Hello,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.
So I'm standing inside of our assistant keeper's house 4 because if I step outside, you're going to hear the 30 to 35 mile an hour winds whistling through my microphone. Otherwise, I would be showing you what a gorgeous day it is out here. And I'd be able to show you Tassie sitting in her new limo and Arena Mina out hunting gophers.
We love Arena Mina. We also stayed there at your keeper's cottage for 2 or 3 days. And we loved it. Just being able to be hanging out there on the cliffs and looking at that beautiful Point Arena lighthouse. Yes, with that water right out the window there, as our YouTube watchers can see. That's where we were staying and we loved it. And Arena Mina came by and visited us.
That's right. And she was visiting us just for a few minutes earlier on your walk. And what do you mean Tassie's got a new limo? Oh, that red?
There's the white lighthouse right
Oh,
there.
thank you, Mark. Look at that beautiful view of the lighthouse.
Point Arena lighthouse just north of us here in Wallala.
Oh,
And there's Arena Mina in his lab. That calico, what you call that? Spotted like my horse, actually.
paint.
Yeah, no. So Mark, where did you go? There you are. So
Thank you.
tell us a little bit about the lighthouse and what KGUA has meant to you.
Well, what KGUA has meant to me and the Lighthouse has been consistent coverage and mentions of the many things that we used to be able to do before this disaster hit us all. You were always so wonderful about covering our lecture series, our full moon night tours, our wind and whale celebration, our National Lighthouse Day, which we will be doing this year. It'll be August the 7th. And we're hoping to be able to arrange for a couple of special things that we would have liked to have done last year, which was our 150th anniversary. So what we're doing.
Wait, we just lost you. I think your mic went off there. There you are.
We're in the middle of doing stuff out here. We're getting ready to welcome the first guest into our new bookkeeper's room, which will make us have 7 vacation cottages out here.
Nice.
Nice. And
yeah.
you were booked up pretty much last year.
And we have been pretty much since things reopened. We're running at about between 80 and 95% occupancy, which obviously is great for the bottom line compared to a year ago when we had to borrow money just to make expenses. It's really nice to finally be solvent again.
You know, one of my favorite things there at the lighthouse, and I love going up into the lighthouse and taking that tour. I love some of the events like the huge kites that represent the ocean life up in the sky. What do you call that again?
That was our wind and whale celebration. And those kites are brought up by the Berkeley Kite Wranglers. And some of them are like 100 feet long octopus kites and blue whales with blue whale calves and geckos. And it's just absolutely wonderful having them up here. We're hoping that we can get them up here for the National Lighthouse Day celebration. And Don McCormick, who's one of our board members, he had arranged last year for the post office to have a special cancellation on May 1st, 2020, which would have been the 150th anniversary of the light first being lit. But he's going to see if we can reschedule that for August the 7th for National Lighthouse Day. And he also arranged for several proclamations from politicians. So we're going to see if we can get some of them out here to present those.
Well, we so appreciate having you on here today. Thank you for joining our big lineup of guests as we're talking about Power of the Tower, the fundraiser for KGUA, and the lighthouse is such a, huge part of our community. It's like he said, it's been around for 150 years, and we're all in this community together, and we appreciate everyone's support and everyone's participation. And if you are out there and want to donate, you can go to our website at kgua.org, click the donate link, and that'll take you to PayPal, and you can even donate a car. We had a car donated from Drew McCallie that was $7,500 for us, and that was a huge, the biggest one we've ever had. And then you can also walk into the station and hand us a check or cash. We've had plenty of people stop in today. And we also have a Facebook fundraiser where you could go as well.
And you could even call us and we could take your credit card number on and put it in later. But however you want to do it, you're doing great. We started out this morning at around 22,000, and I think we're probably up to about 25,000 by now.
Yeah.
Something like that. We haven't had time. So we are absolutely appreciating it. And whether you walk in the door with a bill, like this,
we had a
means
gentleman,
lot
Brandon, walked in and just humbly opened his wallet, and you could tell he really meant it, and just pulled out, and it was from his heart. He really says, we want you to stay on the air.
It means so much to us when we have our listeners do that. All of that matters. And
one of our other volunteers who's like the fourth leg of our station here, and that's Thane Frivold and his wife Maurice. They donated today too.
I see that. So a lot of people are going to kgua.org and hitting that donate button. and helping us out here. We're doing terrific. Thank Leanne for organizing this. And this list of guests that we have up, all day long. And now with Mark Hancock and your 150th birthday going on. We just love being able to talk with Mark. Mark has one of the greatest radio voices there is. And everything they do at the Lighthouse, that the thing is, it hasn't just been us. At least we've got the radio station. We can talk to people. We can do Zoom. But the activities from Mark and the Lighthouse for so many people have been curtailed because of the pandemic this year. And things are starting to change. But we need your support to keep bringing you coverage of these things. If you can't be there, we try to be there and try and bring you that information. And yeah, Mark, I can't believe I used to cover every week during the lecture season. I would run up there with my little microphone and record your lectures and put them on the air. So we have a couple of seasons of those at least here on file, so you can remember them. And I'm guess those will be starting up again sometime.
So much is going to depend upon what happens with the loosening of restrictions and such. So we obviously would really love to be able to start doing the things that we used to do and that you used to cover so well. We're really hoping that we can begin tower tours again at some point down the road. That's something the public really enjoys. We will be opening up our public restrooms over Memorial Day and having those available. We've had them closed during this time for obvious reasons, but with the loosening of restrictions, we're going to go ahead and make that another service we give our people, our guests. And we're also looking at resuming presentations outside at the base of the tower, because right now, we moved the light station store into what was the museum. So it's now all one piece. So it's difficult to do inside presentations because some people want to listen, some people want to shop. So we're thinking we'll do some outside, and that'll allow me hopefully to bring back a couple of my tour guides who I miss very much. And that would be really great. But I'd like to chime in and say that, the Lighthouse is a real icon of the coast for 151 years, but I really view KGUA as an icon of the coast, and it just can't go away. So I encourage all of you to dig deep.
That's the word I was trying to find earlier, icon. That's it. Icon of this coast. And we are coming up to the 1 o'clock hour, Peggy and Mark, and we have the Fog Line Musicians Guild that's been practicing out here in our studios. We're going to go live to them in a moment. We're also going to go live Facebook. I'm Leanne Lindsay along with Peggy Berryhill. This is KGUA in Wallala 88.3 FM, streaming around the world at kgua.org. And we are on YouTube live, as I mentioned. Mark Hancock from the Point Arena Lighthouse, one of our many guests who's come on to help champion our station today. We thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark, and good luck to you guys. And we're going to have some music, and Leanne are going to take a little break. And we've been talking all morning. And then we have some great guests coming up later today. We still have Ray Edlin, George Callis, Arachak Rabarty, Mark Gross, the Rothamels from Maine, Steve Winningham. All of that to come as we move on throughout this amazing, wonderful celebration of our community and a celebration of KGUA. And Mark, thank you for being a part of all of this.
Oh, it's always my pleasure. And just a real quick invite to everyone. I hope everyone saw the special section in the ICO about the 150th anniversary of the Life Station. And I'd like to thank Mark Gross for working with me to put together the writer's invitation, which the top 3 were printed in that special section. If you didn't get one, you didn't buy the ICO April 30th, we have plenty of copies out here at the Light Station. And I've also printed and put on display all of the entries for the writer's invitation in all 4 categories. So come on out to the Light Station and check it out.
Wow.
And please, 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 take all of the options you have to donate to the greatest radio station on the coast, KGUA.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, great
Bye-bye.
words. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. And we're just going to take a short music break right now. And we've got coming up, we've got the live on Facebook and live on YouTube. We'll have the Fog Line Musicians Guild. We'll be right back right after this.
Okay,
How do we switch over now?
well, they're gonna be on mic 3 and 4.
Okay,
And I'm gonna talk to them for just a second.
we're going to be leaving YouTube now.
Where?